Education is back from exec session. That will move us to agenda item 4, which is communications. I'll turn this over to you, Dr. Boozer.
Good evening. Is that better? Okay. It's the sun is still out, so I'm a little confused about it being evening or afternoon. My computer is, there we go. So we have a few things we want to celebrate with us here, and I can hardly see this. So first, we want to congratulate our IPA Science Olympiad team. They won the state championship, and so I want to say the last time we were here, we just kind of talked about them even competing, but not only did they compete for the first time, but they won. Am I correct? Two events? Yes. So this is exciting. So yes, we can give it up for our IPA Science Olympiads. This is something new that we have here in Unit 4, so I'm excited about that. Got it. Next thing, we want to congratulate Central High School's Future Business Leaders of America. They achieved state level, achieved state level achievements at their recent leadership conference. So congratulations to Eleanor Peak for winning the state parliamentarian position, and Eleanor, Lord, I can't read. Peak, yes, Peak. And Kim for winning the state secretary position, and also to Avat Rajam is the outgoing state reporter, and in addition, 11 students qualified in competitions that allow them to advance to compete at the national level later this summer. So here's a picture of our students, and so congratulations to our Central FBLA as they achieve state level recognition. Let's give it up for them. Also, we want to say, job well done, phenomenal. Edison Middle School hosted Best Buddies, and it was the Friendship Walk last week, and 8 other local schools and their Best Buddies chapters participated. So thanks to all who made this event such a great success for so many students. They were really excited and proud. Look at those faces. And so we just want to give it up for our Edison Best Buddies program. Also, Jefferson hosted their night of recognition. So we want to say congratulations to all the Jefferson students who received certificates during the school's night of recognition ceremony. Love it when we celebrate our students, because that is why we do what we do. And so when we can recognize our kiddos for doing great things, that's what it's all about. So congratulations to our Jefferson students and staff. We had our Yes Career Fair last week. Unit 4's Yes, our Youth Employment Services program, hosted its annual event where participants met with local employer partners, and they were able to be interviewed on the spot for summer work sites, and the matches and opportunities were there, and there were some matches that made right there on the spot. And so we also want to say thank you to Mindy Smith, who helped lead this wonderful endeavor. So employers, if you're listening or see this posted anywhere, you're more than welcome. If you want to participate, you can contact Mindy Smith at smithmi@u4sd.org, and we will have this also posted on our website. So job well done. Our students, we're getting them ready for employment, starting in the summer. This here is pretty cool. So we know we had an election that just well, it was April 4th, April 4th election. And so if you, depending on which poll you went to or when you voted, you were able to receive the sticker here that says I voted with all the, the power there. And so it was actually cool because did you know that the voting sticker was created by a Central High School student? So that is pretty fascinating. So some people received this sticker and they wore it. And so I just want to give a shout out to Robin Fitzgerald for creating this. And she entered the I Voted sticker contest hosted by the Champaign County Clerk and won. So great things are still happening in Unit 4. Congratulations to Robin. Going back, we got Maroons track and field. They set new school records, so it was an amazing weekend. Look at the excitement on those students' faces. It's this kind of thing that makes this work worth it. So we want to thank News Gazette for doing a story about the Central girls track and field teammates. And so these Maroons broke a 42-year school record for the 400-meter relay, 49.4 seconds, and established a new record in the 800-meter relay, 1 minute and 44 seconds. So well done, Maroons. Also, whoops. Yes, we have Maroons again, new school record. So we say congratulations to Nick Bond, who set a new school record in the 3,200-meter race, 9 minutes, 33.7 seconds. So way to go to Nick. And I just cannot even imagine doing that in a day. So, I mean, that's awesome. So congratulations to Nick. Job well done. One of my favorite events is the CU Schools Foundation Distinguished Alumni event, and it was, I think a couple Fridays ago, I think. Yeah. It was fantastic. So we want to say congratulations to our CU Schools Foundation Distinguished Alumni recipients. Big shout out to Unit 4 alum Nicole, Anna, and Azit Avra. And they it was wonderful, and they deserve the recognition. And the Central High School Jazz Band also filled the room with amazing music. So Unit 4 was in the room. And so, yeah, Anna and Avra are twins, and they said some of the same things in their interview, and they weren't even interviewed at the same time, so it's pretty cool. And then meeting Nicole, we sat next to each other and we talked a little bit, and so I'm really interested and intrigued on volleyball, seated volleyball, and I was like, I can't play standing up, so I can imagine how much fun it would be to do it while seated. So congratulations to all of them. Also, it's everything Champaign Unit 4 in your pocket. We're finally getting caught up with the rest of the world, and we have our own district mobile app. It's ready for you to download. The app is interactive. It's help you stay connected to your child's school. You can choose which schools you want to add in your app. You can view live news feed, add school calendars directly to your personal calendar. You can log in to Home Access to check your child's grades and so much more. It's awesome. So we finally have an app, because I don't know about you all, if you looked at the app or the website on your phone before, it was not very user-friendly. So now we actually have a mobile app that we're ready. So way to go to our communications department and our IT department for a job well done. This is really exciting. Also, we have our new family communication system is coming soon, Swift K-12. We're pleased to begin the implementation of the Swift K-12 messaging platform for our families and our staff members. There's been a few communication trials and test runs that went out. As a matter of fact, I would say last week, I think both my phones went off for a text message. My phones rang, and then I also got emails. So one way or another, we're going to get the message. We're going to be know what's happening. So we're excited that we're able to test out our new system. A test email, text, and phone call was sent to all Guardian 1 and Guardian 2 on April 14th. So that's the piece that was really exciting. Both Guardians 1 and 2 was able to. So hopefully you all, if you have students in our system, you have it. You got it. Great. Another great job to our IT and our communications department. Also, we are just reminding everyone that the returning student registration is now open. This is a reminder to our families for returning students for 2023, 2024. Please get your students registered. Guardians were sent a SNAP code to register returning students. If you did not, for some reason, get that, please contact your child's school. Dental exam deadline is coming up. So for all kindergarten, second, sixth, and ninth grade students, due May 15th. So I'm giving a reminder. Our nurses are wanting to make sure this is taken care of. So kindergarten, second, sixth, and ninth graders, May 15th, dental exams. Summer programs. Last board meeting, Peter Furch did an amazing job talking about all of our summer programming happening. We have over 21 programs offered over the summer utilizing the Unit 4 schools. So we're excited about it. So if you want more information, you can go to the website and look at, we have everything from enrichment. We just have all kinds of things, intensive, catch-up, makeup, things of that nature, as well as enrichment. So really excited about it. So there's something for our students to do over the summer. Summer food sites, this is a reminder. The locations will be Dr. Howard, Booker T. Washington, Stratton, IPA, Bottenfield, Franklin STEAM Academy, and Central High School. Some of our normal locations are not being offered this summer because of summer work that needs to happen on our buildings. So these are the announcements. These are the locations, and so we want to make sure everyone understands and knows where the summer feeding sites will be, and the dates and times will be announced a little later. But I'm just going to keep reminding everyone of that. So this next piece, I just need to spend a couple more minutes on, and that's the Care Solace. It's available for Unit 4 students, staff, and their families, and our students' families. There's so much going on. Trauma is real. It does not have a zip code. So we understand there's some things happen, and our families and our staff and kids need extra support for mental health, and it's okay to say, I need help. And so we have Care Solace, and it's a 24/7, 365 multilingual support. It will take care regardless of your insurance, easy access to care. So if you want to get connected, there's a phone number there, 888-515-0595, or you can go to caresolace.com. And U4SD, and you can do a warm handoff if we need to. You can do it anonymous if we need to. But I just needed to really hit this because I'm witnessing and seeing some things in our community and across our country where it says we cannot take mental health lightly. It's very important, and we need to make sure that everyone knows that this is available and it's at no cost, so to speak. If you have insurance or not, we can take care of that. So I just want to put that out there one more time. It's a confidential connection. You do not have to broadcast it to anyone. And then I just want to remind everyone that school success starts with attendance. So the most powerful predictor of academic success is we need every Unit 4 student in school every day for the entire day. It's vital to prepare our students for college and or career for a lifetime. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Boozer. I am moving items, in item 7 in our action agenda, there's a scheduling conflict with the family, so we're going to take items 7A and B and do them now. Just A and B. So item 7A is the administrative appointment, the Assistant Director of Food Service, and I will turn this over to you, Mr. Kleber.
All right, good evening. Our position of Assistant Director of Food Service was advertised through our website and other recruiting websites. 4 candidates were interviewed by a team including district administration and support staff representatives. I'm going to ask her to stand right now. Miss Emily Dupuis was selected as the most outstanding candidate. Emily began her professional career as a clinical dietitian with Presence United Samaritans Medical Center in Danville, Illinois, from December 2015 through September 2016. In September 2016, Emily joined Harvest Market in Champaign, Illinois, as a registered dietitian. She will leave this position to become Assistant Director of Food Service for us here in Unit 4. Emily has other related experience as a dietetic intern with OSF Medical Center in Urbana, Illinois, from May to December of 2015, an instructor with Eastern Illinois University from August 16 through January 17, as well as non-managerial food service experience at Memorial Hospital Food Service, Panera Bread, Cakes on Walnut and Cream and Flutter, and Jackson Avenue Coffee. Ms. Dupuy holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Family and Consumer Science and a Master of Science in Nutrition and Dietetics, both from Eastern Illinois University in Charleston. Emily has served the Champaign-Urbana community for the past 6.5 years, providing cooking classes, creating meal kits, inspiring individuals and families to get in the kitchen, try new foods, and enjoy mealtime together. She specializes in recipe development, menu planning, cooking instruction, and social media marketing. Emily is incredibly passionate about providing food that's accessible, nutritious, and delicious for members of our community. As the new Assistant Director of Food Service here in Unit 4, Emily will use these skills to help take school meals to the next level by incorporating local and scratch cooking methods. And we are recommending Ms. Emily Dupuy as the next Assistant Food Service Director, effective May 1st.
Thank you, Mr. Kleber. May I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Vasquez Soteropoulos. That's quite a resume. Tammy, would you call roll?
Ms. Vasquez,
Yes.
Ms. Soteropoulos,
Yes.
Ms. Armstrong,
Yes.
Dr. Baker,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Shannon.
Yes. Motion carries 6-0. Congratulations, Ms. Dupuy. You're welcome to come and say a few words if you'd like.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you all. I am thrilled. I am so thrilled to be a part of Unit 4 that is known for excellence. And I am so excited to take everything that I've learned and create wonderful, helpful, delicious meals for our kids and our schools. I'm incredibly passionate about it, and I just thank you for this opportunity. I am so excited. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much. Congrats. That'll make item 7B, which is administrative appointment, Dr. Howard Elementary Principal, Mr. Ken Kleber.
All right. Position of Dr. Howard Elementary Principal was advertised through our website and other recruiting websites. One candidate was interviewed by a team including district administration, licensed staff representatives, support staff representatives, and Dr. Howard parent representatives. She returned for a level 2 interview, and I'm going to ask her to stand at this time. Ms. Samantha Sam Turner was selected as the most outstanding candidate. Ms. Turner began her career in education here in Unit 4, serving as a second grade teacher at Dr. Howard for the school years 16-17 and 17-18. In August 2018, she joined Mahomet Seymour District as a second grade teacher and held that position for 2 years. Beginning with the 2021 school year, Sam returned to Unit 4 in her first role as a school administrator when she became one of the assistant principal and summer school principals at Garden Hills Academy. She will leave Garden Hills Academy to become the principal of Dr. Howard. Ms. Turner holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Early Childhood Education from Miami of Ohio University. She earned her Master's of Science in Educational Policy, Organization, and Leadership from the U of I here in Urbana-Champaign. Sam brings a wealth of elementary instructional and administrative experience to her new position as Dr. Howard Elementary School's principal. She has served on leadership and responsive classroom committees, as well as helped to lead initiatives such as RTI, MLL services, and intervention that closely align with the district's vision established in the strategic plan and anti-racism board resolution. Samantha's motto in education is all for the kids. As principal, she will bind families with the school to create an environment of love and learning, and we are recommending Ms. Sam Turner as the next principal of Dr. Howard, effective July 1.
Thank you, Mr. Kleber. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Soteropoulos Shannon. Tammy, would you call roll?
Ms. Soteropoulos,
Yes.
Ms. Shannon,
Yes.
Miss Armstrong,
Yes.
Dr. Baker,
Absolutely.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Vasquez.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0. Congratulations, Ms. Turner.
I also just want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you to the amazing interview teams and everybody here tonight. I am thrilled to be taking on this opportunity. As you guys heard, this is a homecoming. This is where I started my teaching career, and it's going to be a great year. Thank you.
Thank you. Congrats. Okay, that'll move us back to item 5, which is public comment. And the first card I have is Kim Fisher.
So before I start my time, I don't think you guys actually approved a change in the agenda. I didn't hear a vote to approve the agenda order.
The agenda was approved before we went into exec session.
It was? Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. Okay. My name is Kim Fisher, and I have 4 children in the district. My 2 youngest children are in band. I have an 8th grader who has had 5th grade band at BTW, and I have a current 5th grader who has band at Southside. I stand before you to ask whether or not you as a district are cutting 5th grade band and orchestra. It has come to my attention that administration has decided that they will reallocate resources, and that reallocation will mean that 5th graders in Unit 4 will no longer get access to band and orchestra. I do not know actually whether or not this is going to happen, though, because no formal communication came from the district or the administration. There is nothing on this agenda that says anything around eliminating a core program. 5th grade band and orchestra will be discussed at this board meeting. When I reached out to all of you sitting at this table up here, only one responded, Ms. Armstrong. My questions were not answered. I received a follow-up email on Sunday that said that this is a curriculum issue and is under the purview of the superintendent and does not need to be on a public board agenda. I have heard through my connections that this is indeed will be discussed today, but I'm a very privileged person. I am the Edison Band patron, and I shouldn't have to be the Edison Band patron to get this information through my connections through families and other parents. If there's a major decision about changing a program to be discussed and it's going to be so beneficial for our children and the teachers, it should be communicated out in the open and families should have an opportunity to engage. My understanding of this issue is that musical directors are required to not only teach their middle school bands and orchestras, but also to teach at 1, 2, and sometimes 3 and 4 elementary schools in order to have a full teacher schedule. This means they have to navigate not only their middle school schedule, but also the many different schedules and requirements at their respective buildings. This situation is totally untenable and shows that this district and you as a board are not invested in musical education, our teachers, and the 5th grade music program for band and orchestra. And the answer to this problem seems to be to reallocate current resources so that musical directors can concentrate on their middle schools. While that may well be well intended, the result, though, is that you are cutting 5th grade band and orchestra in this district. My children will not be affected. I don't have any more kids. They had the benefit of 5th grade band, but children in this district, who I have a deep passion for because I am a staunch supporter of public education, will eliminate this. I'll just say that other districts do this. Springfield has 5th grade band. Peoria has 5th grade band. Oak Park has 5th grade band and orchestra. Evanston School District has 4th and 5th grade band, orchestra, and choir. Unit 5 in Bloomington were facing budget cuts last year. They were going to cut 5th grade band and orchestra, and the district, and the families, the teachers, the community rallied around to save 5th grade band and orchestra. We have no formal communication from you whether or not this is going to happen, and it is a travesty.
Thank you. My next card is Breland Meritons.
Good evening. I come before you tonight to discuss the partial implementation of Scenario 4 based on diversity and socioeconomic status. Let me preface this by saying not only did my ex-husband and I base the purchase of our house in 2006 on school placement, but my subsequent apartment choice after our divorce in 2018 was also based on that criteria, as well as our deciding factor in choice of elementary school when enrolling our children. We have made many major life decisions based on our plans and desire to send our children to the middle school of our choice. We've promised our son for many years that he would have the freedom to ride his bike or walk to school after 5th grade. To have those decades-long plans and freedom of choice forcibly taken away because of my son's perceived race and to keep up with current trends is fundamentally unjust, discriminatory, and an overreach of government. Scenario 4 was designed and presented with a specific recommendation to be implemented gradually to lessen the impact on the community. Instead, the scenario was dismantled, and the pieces of it that aligned with the overall racial agenda were forced on all of us immediately. There's been absolutely no consideration or meaningful conversations with families who had made extensive and life-affecting plans for our children. Our children, not yours. Not the government's, ours. This fact needs to be acknowledged and respected. It is a violation of our freedoms and liberties to force involuntary busing on families who have spent years planning the best educational and childhood experiences for our children. I respectfully yet adamantly request that you honor the original feeder schools for families like mine who built their lives around choices that were promised when we first enrolled our children years ago. Thank you.
Thank you. Christy Arnold?
Hi, I'm Christy. I didn't actually prepare anything because I wasn't sure I was going to speak tonight, but I would like to echo what Kim was saying about band. I think it would be a huge loss on our school district to eliminate this out of elementary schools. And I would really like to just ask that the process be that if this is a consideration, that a blast email be sent out, a letter in backpack sent out to all elementary parents, and let us speak up, let us have our say. Let us have a voice in this process, whatever. If the process is happening, we don't know anything about it. And so I would just really like you to, reconsider if something has already been kind of decided behind closed doors. Please, let us in, let us make a decision with you, let us have our voices heard, and really look at the data behind kids learning musical instruments and having that in their lives. I didn't actually personally play in band, but my kids really enjoy it. My oldest is in middle school and my youngest is in elementary. So, that'll be taken away from my youngest if this goes through. So I'd really like you to reconsider or at least involve the public and give us real data and information if this is going to move forward. And then my other comment is about the registration process for new families coming into Unit 4, specifically kinder families. A bunch of people have reached out to me since I've been pretty vocal in this whole conversation, asking are there going to be school tours, open houses, things like that before the school year ends so that they can make informed decisions based on being in the buildings, based on meeting with the kindergarten teachers, not like something that's in the summer where they don't want to just see the buildings, they want to meet the teachers, meet the principals and the specials teachers. So I would ask that you guys comment on if you're making them, because they've called and they've said that they were told to call, they called the Windsor building and were told to call the Family Information Center, and all of them have said, we don't know. So it's almost May, and to not know if there's gonna be tours, and then if there's not tours, then there's only these videos, which I think have been nice spotlights. I appreciate them, but you have 4 elementary schools, I believe, if I'm counting right, that haven't gone yet, and 2 of them are not happening until mid-June. And so they're not going to have videos. So if I'm a new kinder family who doesn't know anything about these schools and I go on there and I see, 10 or 9 or 10 of these schools have these nice videos, but these other ones don't, I think that's really inequitable to have that resource for some schools but not others, and to have some of them aren't going to be even happening until the end of summer seems really inappropriate. So I would really like you to comment on whether or not there are going to be tours and when they are going to be, because families are very interested in that before they make a decision on whether or not to stick with Unit 4 or, maybe make some other option. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a card from Al Molina.
Good evening and Happy New Year, because I haven't been here since last year. I've been asking repetitively a bunch of things during the last 4 years. One that is very deep into my heart is the bullying that takes place in schools. I asked for an investigation. That didn't happen. We need to give bullying the importance that it deserves. And just don't throw things under the rug and avoid parents by sending a cease and desist letter. That's what I got. The balanced calendar obviously was shut down. I asked a lot of people about the obsolete, antiquated agrarian calendar. I even asked people in Savoy if they had any kids working in agriculture, because it's called the agrarian calendar. Everybody laughed. So take a look at the balanced calendar again. I'd returned the trumpet, and I explained to you why later on, whoever is interested in returning trumpets and why. Junk food in the schools. I've been advocating for excellent, amazing food. What do we get? Pretzels, salty pretzels, hot dogs, and corn dogs, and a bunch of other stuff. Translation of documents. I was begging you guys to translate those documents from that outfit that came and did that project. That didn't happen. School hours, 7 to 5. So us as parents can actually have a decent job. Because right now, the way the schedule is, one family member has to sacrifice their job or find a mediocre job that will fit into it. We need to have the freedom to send our kids to Panera Bread after school. We don't. We get a letter from IPA saying that we're not allowed to take our kids to IPA, to Panera Bread, to wait for us to pick them up. Bilingual teachers, international bilingual teachers. I've been begging you guys to sponsor teachers, and the teacher shortage is self-induced. In other words, nobody does anything about hiring international teachers. It's relatively easy. They're out there and they're willing to come left and right. The Board of Education needs to overhaul the entire system. It hasn't been working for decades and decades. And it hasn't been working particularly for Black African American families. How do you do it? I'll leave it up to you guys. But delegating into one person, which is the superintendent, is not enough. You guys need to be full-timers and not moonlighting doing the job. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Molina. And the last card I have is from Jennifer Curry. It has both your names on it. Okay. Jennifer and John Curry? Wingman. Okay.
Good evening, Dr. Boozer, Board of Education staff. My name is Jennifer Curry, and this is John Curry. We teach instrumental music at Central High School here in Champaign, and we've been proud employees of Unit 4 for about a quarter of a century now. I've taught in 8 of the elementary schools, all of the middle schools, and at Central High School, and John's been around town a little bit too. I do want to say thank you to the parents who showed up tonight to speak out for music education. Obviously, it's near and dear to our hearts. I didn't really prepare anything to say to you tonight other than I want to let the community and the Board of Education know that we've been in talks with all of the instrumental music staff over the last several months, serious conversations about moving our start of band and strings to 6th grade. And I have to say, maybe with the exception of one teacher, it's been a unanimous decision to push this to a 6th grade start. And there are multiple reasons for why we believe this is going to serve our students best. It's certainly not putting the teachers first. It's putting our students first and what we believe and how we believe we can deliver the curriculum the best way that we can. Right now, with the models that exist, our students might be getting band or strings 2 or 3 times a week. That's in a full week of school. And if you look at your school calendar at how many weeks are full weeks of school, it's honestly not that many. So some students can go weeks without instruction or maybe several weeks in a row where they only have one band or orchestra class. The habits that we build daily in a band or orchestra class that meets 5 days a week, there's no comparison between how we can start them and how we can move forward with curriculum when there isn't 6 days in between lessons to build bad habits or have other things fall into place that don't really work. Some of our students will resort to learning by rote or writing note names in music because they're not getting that continuity of instruction that they need to build solid music reading habits, for example. So I just wanted to say that a lot of thought has been put into this by our teachers, and actually these discussions date back to the 90s of when we talked about 4th grade versus 5th grade versus 6th grade start. And there is a lot of research out there for parents who want to see it that shows that whether kids start in 4th, 5th, or 6th grade, by the time they get into 9th grade, they're relatively equal in the same place. You get a little bit bigger child can handle those bigger instruments. When we start in 6th grade, we can balance instrumentation from the get-go for that building. It's not like, wow, this school ended up with 80 flutes in their 6th grade program because they came in from 13 different feeders. That's not going to happen. So we just see a lot of benefits, and I know that I have 14 seconds left, and I could talk to you about band and strings all night, but if any of you have questions about how that works, feel free to contact us, and we would be happy to talk to you more about your concerns and where we see the future of the program going, and nothing but up from us. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Curry. That'll move us to item 6, which is reports, which is item A, which is our working groups update, and I will turn this over to you, Dr. Boozer.
I'm going to ask those who have been working to come to the table. David, Mike, Orlando, Henry, Harden, or, yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's been a busy day in Unit 4. So I always say it's a great day, but it's been busy. We've been working tirelessly. I've got groups that have been working across the system to prepare us to move forward for our 23-24 school year. So I thought it was about time that we start bringing something to you all about what we're doing as a school board, so you'll know what's happening. So of course, our mission and our vision. Our vision is to empower each learner to thrive in a diverse and changing world, and our mission is to positively transform learning and life outcomes for our students through educational justice, equity, and excellence. And I say this and I read it off because these two things help bring me here to this position. And I'm excited about it because working in this position with such amazing people helps me understand that this is not just words on a paper, but we're trying to make this vision and this mission come to life. So just as a reminder, you already know this, we serve over 10,000 students, pre-K through 12, in 19 buildings with nearly 2,000 Champaign champions. That's our staff members, teachers, food service, bus drivers, monitors, counselors, nurses, and so many, many, many more. So I just want to keep that at the forefront of this conversation and this report. Sometime during the school year, I presented to you all our journey from compliance to commitment. And one of the things we talked about was where we started from, how this strategic plan came into play, what we did in 2020, 2021 before I got here, and then when I took the reins in 21, 22, where we were on the journey, and 22, 23, what we have done this school year. And so what I want to continue looking at now is equity in action. We use the word equity all the time, but I need to make sure that we don't use it as a buzzword, but it is actually what drives the work that we're doing. And equity involves so many things. So our journey continues. And so what we're going to talk about tonight are the things on our journey for 23-24. And so some of the areas of focus will be, as we talked about, and I say, this is also on page 14 of our strategic plan. One of the first things it talks about is expanding access to early childhood. So we're doing that for next year. Alternative education pathways and expansion, increased instructional time for elementary students, job-embedded professional development for our staff. And when I say job-embedded, that means on the ground, during the day, while they're there, getting the supports that they need, not this drive-by, give you a couple minutes of professional development, because we know that doesn't work. So job-embedded. We are continuing our expansion of AVID. We are developing our portrait of a graduate for pre-K-12. When our students leave Unit 4, what does it look like? What do we expect? Because it's not just get them to graduate, but how do we help them get ready for the next phase of their life? And so that means we're also deepening our work on college and career readiness. Dr. Ward, do you have anything you wanted to add to that? This is really one of your areas of equity.
No, I just wanted to reiterate that, we're now moving into the action phase. And you can see a lot of things that are going forth as you hear the school spotlights. You should see some through lines, things that are consistent across schools and things that are different. We serve over 10,000 students and no path is the same. So what you're seeing is that some students need an early opportunity, some students need a system of support, and of course, some students may need an alternative path. So we're really trying to make sure that we put those changes into action in place and follow the data to make sure students saturate those paths. When you look at the districts in the board's commitment, we talk about some of the values are to really invest in teachers as well, so professional development. No other profession do people go in and keep working and don't get the tools that they need to be excellent. So priorities 1 and 2 is instructional excellence and educational opportunity or access.
Thank you. And I can't stress enough that we're tired of living in the world of compliance. We're committed to this work. So there are things that we have to do out of compliance, but that's not where we want to live. We want to live in the world of commitment. We're committed to this system, to our students, to our staff, to our families, to our community, and that means we have to do some things different in order to get there. So just wanted to put that. So what we're going to talk about now is how did we get here? Our strategic plan, and Angela, Dr. Ward talked a little bit about that. So one of the first things we did was we reviewed the data, and we do review the data often. It's not one of those one-time, one and done, but we are constantly looking at our data. And then we jointly negotiated a framework with CFT and CESP and to come up with this work. We implemented focus schools and the SAMS work. Because that's where Dr. Ward was also talking about, we have to invest in our staff. We must. If our schools are going to move forward and our students are going to benefit, we have to invest in our students. And then we brought focus schools along, and has been instrumental. And from the schools that have presented, they've talked a great deal about the work with focus schools. And then the SAM work helps them to stay the course and to be those instructional leaders in their buildings. And then the next thing that we're going to talk about is we formed our working groups, and those working groups have been working, and that's why I said we've been busy. So we got some things that we didn't do this in isolation. Every group had community members, teachers and staff members, administrators, and we had community parents on some of these working groups. So we're serious about this work. So here's where we are. We're going to give you an update on our working groups. We're going to talk about the new updated bell schedule, transportation, student assignment process, early childhood expansion, elementary school updates, Garden Hills programming, the band and strings programming, middle school schedules, and the Columbia updates. So we're going to go through all those quickly with you and then give you an opportunity to ask questions if you have any. Okay? So one of the first things we're going to talk about is the updated bell schedule. And I have to say, I am so excited that we had an amazing group of teachers and administrators and other staff members. We had people from CESP, which is our parapros and bus drivers. We had people from CFT, which is our teachers. We had community members. We had administrators. We had our some district level folks. We had some parents who were at the table. And so I just want to remind everyone that during the negotiations back in last school year that took effect, some of it takes effect this year, we increased the length of student instructional days from 6 hours from 6 hours to 6 hours and 50 minutes, I think it was, or 6 hours and 15 minutes to 6 hours and 50 minutes. That's what it is. So our increase that time to 6 hours and 50 minutes for all of our K-5 and pre-K campuses, which is going to begin next school year. And so we were using this year to plan and get things in motion. So we're excited about having this additional time to work with our students each day. We have better spacing and start and end times between campuses, which dramatically reduces the possibility of us having to cancel transportation services. And there's nothing more irritating, and I can tell you this, from my transportation department knows, I do not like, Brad, to see those emails that says, no transportation, no transportation. So they worked very hard to address this. And sometimes it was a short notice that they had to cancel school, or not cancel school, cancel transportation. So the new schedule better aligns with dismissal schedules for all of our elementary and middle schools based on feeder patterns, improving families' abilities to coordinate drop-off and pickup. We adjusted early childhood times, which reduces CECC transportation delays and significantly improves our ability to transport our youngest students on time. Now having both the pre-K 8 buildings at Garden Hills and IPA on the same bell schedule will allow for a more efficient transportation for athletics and extracurricular activities as both schools continue to grow. And we're also revising the bell schedule. Revising the schedule is also a manner now reduces the likelihood that the district would need to modify the bell schedule again in the near future, because I can guarantee you those who are in that room do not want to come together again and do this. So they're like, no, we don't want to have to do this again. So that they took the time to do this. So I want to say thank you to that group. They did great work. So here's an example here, and I sent this email out to all administrators, all staff, all family members, so they can see the updated bell schedule. And so those with the asterisk next to them are those that didn't really have a major change, or had a change, no change to their bell schedule, but others we did have to change a little bit. And so if anybody from the table who was a part of that team has anything they want to add to that, feel free to jump in. But I think this bell schedule really kind of speaks for itself. And I want to say thank you to all those who, and Peter Furch, who led the group, along with Brad. It wasn't easy, and we didn't want to keep things status quo. If we got to make some major changes to benefit our system, we had to make some changes.
Do you want questions now or?
You sure can ask them now if you like.
I think one of the questions that I saw was, with the start times, when should students arrive? Like how we have it now, does it differ from, for instance, Carrie Busey, right? Teachers are outside at 7:25, and then the day starts later. So how, is that similar?
Yeah, and they're working, we're going to be working with our buildings on that. LT has been working with staff, sure.
Yeah, so actually, it's on the agenda for the elementary principal meetings
Yes.
next week to talk about what would be best for them. Worked with Margie Poole today. If certain students who I need nursing services before school, so we're going to talk with each school. It could be different a little bit depending on how they have transportation and different things, but yeah, we'll do it next week.
So what we have here are just basically when students start and when they get out. So we wanted to make sure that was clear for our families. It'll look a little different based upon the employees, and so that's something that we're working out with each building. And we also have someone on standby to kind of help work with our principals if they need some help and some support in making this work. Yeah.
Sheila, thank you. Looking at this, the earliest start time for any of our elementary campuses is 7:45.
Yes.
And before this, what was our earliest start time for our elementary campuses?
7:50.
Okay, so there's a 5-minute change as our earliest start time, and our latest end time for elementary is at 3:30 is what I'm seeing, and wasn't Barksdale 3:20 before that? So it's a 10-minute change about because I think Barksdale was one of the later end times. Does that sound right? I only speak with full confidence on 3 campuses. I apologize, but those are the schedules I know the best. Okay, I want to make sure so in terms of adjustment, there are adjustments on each end, but we've certainly, it looks like a lot of work has gone into
Yes.
making it as light an impact as possible.
Right, and so one of the things I just kind of want to see if I can help you all with is, it was important that we make sure that the elementary schools feeding into the middle schools, that the parents had enough time to get students to school, depending on where they're traveling from. We wanted to make sure that our larger schools were not in that second tier of buses, because we have 3 tiers of buses. So we had to make sure, in order to avoid not having enough transportation for the end of the day or delaying the buses, we had to make some adjustments and change when our larger schools need to be at the first tier or the third tier. So that's why we had to make a few adjustments there.
And larger is enrollment numbers?
Uh-huh,
Okay.
and the number of buses. Mhm.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Did I get that right? Yes. You all helped me understand all this. Thank you. That's because I have an amazing team. Okay. The next thing I just wanted, since we're kind of talking about transportation, I'm sorry, was there any other questions about the Bell schedule? Updated? Okay. The next thing is the exciting part is for transportation. So we will have our new routing system that you all voted on and approved a while back in full implementation for this summer, 2023. So for our summer programs, the new routing system will be ready. The parent app, Bus GPS Ride 360, it helps our parents to track their students on the bus. They know where the bus is with their student. We also have tablets for routing and scanning for students' ridership. So a student's ID will be scanned so we know who's on the bus and who gets off the bus. So we're getting into the 21st century. So not having to write it, but we use the electronic, to scan them on and scan them off. So the new field trip scheduling software, that will start, or did start. It already started. Yep, that was January, right? We're in April. Wow. January 2023, the new field trip scheduling software kicked into place, which is very crucial. If you've never tried to hand do field trips for 19 campuses, and not to mention all the athletics and the extracurricular things we got going on, So, again, in the 21st century, all right, we have 20 new buses arriving this summer all through December. We have preventative maintenance software that we started using in January 2023. So it helps us know when our buses need oil changes, tire rotations, et cetera, for all of our district vehicles. So we don't have to worry about whoopsie. We actually have software to help us for preventative maintenance. Preventative maintenance, if you are preventative, instead of being reactionary, then that's a good thing. So I want to give a shout out to our transportation department. And we also have cameras and Wi-Fi installed on all of our buses. Wi-Fi will be configured in 23-24, and that is going to be powerful too, because it will help the school day be an extension. When you're on the bus, you can extend your school day while you're on the bus. So our kiddos, if they need some extra time, what they've got their Chromebooks, they can do some work on the bus while they're trying to get home or what have you. So we're really excited about that. So Brad or Henry, do you have anything you want to add to this? Because this is your baby. Good? Job well done. I'm excited. So our parents are going to be excited about this, the routing system and the student tracking.
When you talk about cameras, do all of our buses have them in the stop arm? Because every day I'm watching people go around buses with their stop arm out illegally, and it's so dangerous. So I'm just curious if every bus has it yet?
Every bus not necessarily on the stop arm, but they do have it on the outside of the buses. We have been cracking down on people who pass the stop arm. I know that they have like a chart at the transportation office that they submit to Brad, and he works with CPD because it is a problem.
Thank you.
I have a question. I know that we had quite a few buses that were maybe scheduled on different systems, and they were dismissed. So that field trip software for activities, it's one system. Everyone goes into one. It's not two. So we should have a better system moving forward. Okay.
Yes, and we are actually using that system now.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect.
So things have gotten better, and I'm telling you, trying to change people's habits, it's been very difficult. So when you talk about systems, and I say this all the time jokingly, but I'm so serious, we've been on a cleanup tour. So trying to figure out all the things that need to be adjusted and to, because Mr. Kleber teases me all the time because we have that. Well, I never saw it. Well, we're getting back to some things that I think COVID kind of, well, that's my story and I'm sticking to it, that probably COVID kind of put some things on the back burner. So we're going back, we're moving forward in things that we know need to happen. So that's one of those things. So the field trips piece, no longer can schools just call and get a bus wherever they want to because no one wants to have to pay for it out of their own pocket.
So is that also a system of accountability? Is it tracking? If someone doesn't get it done?
Yeah, it comes with tracking, also procedures around that. It's very hard to schedule trips that's, given to you at the last minute. So we ask 14 days out or as farther out as possible, especially towards the end of the year when you want to do field trips. Because especially when it comes to charter type things, because a lot of other districts are doing it. And if you come late, chances are you won't get a bus. So there's procedures around that, but the system really helps track things. We can go back and helps us with transportation reimbursements, mileage, all those other administrative tasks that was paper and pencil and trying to go back and looking at anecdotal notes and things like that.
And Linda appreciates it too because it keeps us frugal. And I appreciate it because I don't like to spend money that we don't have to spend if we're not being wise. So when you do things on time with a system, you'll be amazed at how much of a less cost it is for you.
I will say, though, I'm more than happy to spend money for turning those cameras on, to what Amy was saying. The things I've seen of cars going around at IPA, at Edison, at elementary campuses where, let's be honest, our children are not looking the way, well, the high schoolers aren't looking either, but at minimum, they're easier to see. I'm more than happy to see us spend some money to turn those cameras on and catch some people and work with CPD, because what I've seen even in the last 10 days outside of IPA would stop your heart.
Yeah.
As I'm dropping my kids off, I watch it every day. Specific to IPA, there's cars doing 50, 60 miles an hour down Kirby as kids are going, and the crossing guards are out. Like, it's clear this is a school zone.
It's unbearable to watch. As a pedestrian, as a driver, as a parent, it's unbearable to watch. So I'd rather spend some money on the cameras for a couple weeks and get some people learning a tough lesson than learn the lessons we don't want our children learning.
We'll work on that. Okay. Yep. Thank you. Appreciate that. All righty. Okay. So this takes us to the next piece. Had to get transportation kind of under control a little bit, and then we can start talking more about the student assignment process. And as you notice, it has a new name. It is called the student assignment process, not choice. It's the student assignment process. And so we have a new student assignment process webpage. We have a new infographic to clearly explain the process, and it was reviewed by staff and by parents. We have updated board policy that's in review right now regarding this process. We have a student assignment book that's coming soon. It's almost finished. And we have school spotlight videos that we will also share. They'll be on the webpage as well. We put into place some outreach efforts that have been in place, but we're also hitting them again and making sure they have the new updated information around childcare. We have childcare providers, churches, community partners. We'll also be distributing flyers containing all the information regarding the new student assignment process. And so we're really excited about this and all the hard work that went into play. And I just want to kind of show you what the infographic, the front page infographic will look like. It's there, and so this all aligns to the strategic plan priority number 2, educational access, and so we wanted to make sure we get this out here, and so it's pretty fascinating. The website is beautiful. This booklet, the infographic is amazing. It explains to you step by step how to register your child for school. Mr. Orlando Thomas and his team did a great job leading this out. And so did you have anything you wanted to add to this piece?
Just that the new infographic was put in place in an attempt to provide some clarity for incoming families. We know that kindergarten is sending your kiddo for the first time is a big event. And there was, the process was no secret. We had it outlined in the student assignment book. It's been there every year. The process has not changed since its implementation in 1999. This infographic just is a much more user-friendly with pictures and a step-by-step process for parents. Dr. Boozer did mention the 2 families that we did share it with were like, as a new person coming in that may not know anything about our process, this is really clear, and that was our goal.
And then we also shared it with a family who's gone through, 2 families have gone through the process in the past and said this, they liked it and said, thank you, this makes a lot of sense. So it took, yeah. So thanks, Ms. Arnold. And so we wanted to make sure that because we know it, sometimes when you know the process and it's in your head, you know what it expects, but if you have to make sure other people who see it understand what you're trying to get across. And so when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I would have loved to have had this my first year here because that whole choice thing, I didn't really understand the whole process until we went through with cooperative strategies and that whole changing and things of that nature. That's when I really got a good understanding of this process. And so it's in depth, but we made this very user-friendly, step-by-step, simple, and I'm excited about it.
Dr. Boozer?
Yeah. Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. Go ahead.
The new web page is not live yet.
Yes.
So if people start searching, it'll be live tomorrow.
Right, that was my next piece here. No, you're fine. No, my communication person, thank you so much. You have to help me, because I get beyond myself sometimes. So thank you, Stacy. So the other thing is, here's some important dates, and we didn't get this out sooner because we had work we need to continue. And I know sometimes it's hard when you're waiting for something, but I have learned that if you do things too quickly, then you have to go back and backtrack. That is not a good look. And I'm trying to rebuild trust and show that we do know what we're doing as a system. And sometimes people want things before we can give it to them. And I rather err on the side of wait and get the information correct before I bring something to you that is incorrect. So April 25th, which is tomorrow, sometime tomorrow. It's not going to be first thing in the morning, and it may not even be midday, but sometime tomorrow, the kindergarten registration will open and it will close on June 23rd. May 2nd, we have kindergarten welcome night. It's going to be from 6 to 7:30 at Garden Hills. And then May 9th and May 17th are the school tours from 5 to 7. And so we will have more information about how you sign up for the school tours, but we have those 2 dates, May 9th, May 17th. If you want to tour school, you want to go on both nights, and you want to do a couple schools, however you want to do it, we'll work with you. But May 9th, May 17th, school tours. And then registration outreach dates, May 9th for IPA will be from 4 to 7. May 15th, Garden Hills, 4 to 7. May 23rd, Champaign Public Library, 5:30 to 8. May 31st, Martin Center from 5 to 8. And then we also have in-person registration support on June 6th, 8th, 13th, and 15th, right here from 2 to 6. And also again on June 20th, right here from 9 to noon. And we will post all this information so that you can see it, you have access to it. But we just want to make sure the public knows that we are doing everything in our power to support this new student assignment process, and here are the important dates. And on May 2nd, that kindergarten welcome night will be information, the principals will be present, they'll do a presentation about kindergarten. If you have time for questions, they'll walk you through the student assignment process. That's when you'll actually get to see the new infographic, the booklet, so to speak. So it's a big to do, and we want to make sure we communicate it well, so everybody knows.
I think you've clarified the question I was going to ask, but the May 2nd, that's for everybody who has an incoming kindergartner, not just Garden Hills students.
Right, it's going to be held at Garden Hills, but for every kindergarten, anybody has a kindergarten, and if you're new to Unit 4, we're inviting them as well. But our main focus is our kindergarten students. But if you're brand new to Unit 4, you're welcome to that as well.
Okay, and then the May 9th and May 17th school tours, all elementary schools are going to be available, okay? And then like if people will be able to register at home on their own, but if they need some support, they can go, anybody who's registering a student can go to any of those dates.
Yes, ma'am. And so the registration outreach dates are the days that we are taking the show on the road. So we'll be at IPA on May 7th or May 9th. We'll be at Garden Hills on May 15th. We'll be at the Champaign Library on May 23rd, and then also on May 31st. Because everybody doesn't have access, or they may have access, they just don't know what they're doing and need some support. That's okay. We're just trying to get everyone we can to wrap around them. And then if they just can't make those, then we're going to also have some more dates in June right here. And so, yeah, and I'm glad you asked those questions. So the May 9th and 17th are school tours for incoming kindergartners, and I believe, is it for new families as well, or just kindergarten? I don't speak to help me for the school tours on May 9th.
The school tours at this time are just for the incoming kindergarten families.
Okay.
If we need to schedule additional dates, we would do that. We want to see if these two are sufficient.
Thank
And I
you.
know we do have a sign up. It's on the flyer that Dr. Boozer
I
will
was gonna
share
show
on the next
next.
slide. But we want parents, the tours will happen in 30-minute increments. So we'll start at 5, 5:30, 6, and 6:30. So parents can scan a QR code, sign up so that the campuses have an idea of how many families to plan for every 30 minutes.
Yep. Yeah, uh-huh.
I think in the past, there may have been like a shuttle to help parents who may not have a car to get from school to school. Will that be, or will
That's a good
some
question.
sort of transportation?
That's a
That
great
was your
question.
plan all along.
That's the
and
plan.
I was just
Uh-huh.
bringing that
Sure,
to the
yeah.
surface. Terrific.
Well, be careful saying sure until you make sure you've got the
The
shuttle.
transportation people said
Brad will drive.
absolutely.
Brad will drive, right, Brad? So, and the other thing is, because everybody may not want to actually tour school, so that's why we were trying to make sure we put out there the spotlights on the webpage, on the website as well, because you can actually see some of the things that happen in a typical school day, and then if you just want to see the space. So we're trying to do a little bit of both. I have a question over here.
I've talked to a couple of people who homeschool and are thinking about entering our middle schools. There's no school tours, obviously, for them on those days, but they should contact the office.
Yeah, contact the schools for those, because we're still,
Contact
yes.
the schools themselves for
Yes.
the tours? Okay.
Yes, because I think, well, since when COVID was happening, we kind of stopped doing those. So
Yeah.
we kind of started easing back into those school tours. So we also have kiddos who are coming to us to the high schools as well. So they're doing the same thing. LT, do you have anything else with that? I mean, Dr. Taylor?
That's okay. Actually, it's a good reminder. Yes, because of COVID, sometimes we kind of lost that a little bit. So I have the middle school and high school principals next week
Yes.
as well, and we'll remind all of them.
Yep. We're excited about this because we got great stuff going on and we want people to know about it. We tried. Okay, thank you. All righty. The next thing I have here for you is just to show you the actual flyer that's going to be publicized and going out that just kind of talks about what we just discussed with the QR code. We're also going to put it on our website and talks about the tours at our 12 elementary schools, when and where, 30-minute guided tours, online kindergarten registration. There's a link to that as well. When registration begins and when it closes. Visit and learn before you rank your choices. So if you want to know more about the schools, we encourage you to attend the kindergarten registration information session. That is at Garden Hills.
Thank you. I have another question. I have seen on social media, which you always got to double check everything you see on social media. Somebody had said that, if you want to increase your kid's chance of getting into your first choice school, you got to get your stuff in as early as possible. I don't know that that's true.
No. No. And it took me a year to figure this all out, too. I am telling you. So.
Yeah, so the new infographic will outline that every person who registers, regardless of when you register, when we start the process, everyone is given a random ID, and it is, you could register last, you could register in the middle or at the beginning,
Nope.
no bearing.
Nope. We want to debunk that myth, so thank you.
And thank you for debunking it here.
Okay, anybody else?
Dr. B, I do want to also add other things that will be on the new student assignment webpage that will be beneficial. Along with the flyer, we will have the assignment data from this current school year, 22-23. So families will be able to see how many families ranked each school, how many families actually got their choice. And in the infographic, we give some 6-year historical data. 86% of families over the past 6 years have gotten their first choice, and 91% of families received their first, second, or third choice. And then the spotlight videos, as well as the proximity map. So if families want to know what is your proximity school, the map will be on the website for you to type in your address and see what school is actually your proximity school.
Yeah, and when the website goes live, that's going to be a part of that website. So, and Stacy said it'll be sometime tomorrow. Yes, sometime tomorrow. Might not be 7:45 or 8 o'clock a.m., but it'll be sometime.
You have till 11:59.
Might be 11:59, but it'll happen. So we're trying to be as transparent as we possibly can, because there's a lot of hard work that happens in our system, and so we don't have anything to hide or whatever. We're trying to do what's best for our students and our staff in our community in Unit 4. So thank you to those who reached out to give us questions, who asked questions, give us ideas, suggestions. We're trying to make things happen, because it is a new day and it's a great day in Unit 4. And a busy day. So, okay, so then the next part, I want to give you an update on the early childhood expansion. So we have additional classrooms and increased number of students. So we're at CEC plans to add at least 2 half-day classrooms. Garden Hill plans to add 2 full-day classrooms. IPA plans to add 2 full-day Spanish-English classrooms. Feedback from our Spanish-speaking families has been overwhelmingly positive. And we also have programming things going on, so we're following. So we have to understand, we want to expand our early childhood, and we want to have the full-day programs, but it's not just a push of the button, poof, you get to choose. There's criteria. We're following ISB's eligibility guidance for the half-day versus the full-day enrollment, so it's not just something that we just want to make up ourselves. There is guidance. Garden Hills and IPA will follow their building schedule. What I mean by that, if you're a full-day early childhood student, you will follow the school day of IPA or Garden Hills, whichever one you happen to be in, because the guidelines state pre-K students have to follow the schedule of a first grade. So whatever the first grade schedule is for the day, that's what the early childhood, so if you're in full day. So there's guidance. We're in the middle of developing roles and responsibilities for CECC and the satellite campuses. So everything will not fall on the building principal. There are some things that our CEC staff and administrators will have to do, and we're working through all those pieces and logistics. We're completing application process for the preschool expansion grant, and so we're very hopeful that we'll get that, because that's a big push for our governor is to expand pre-K. And also the playground alterations are being planned at both Garden Hills and IPA, because our littlest learners have to have a specialized specialized playground as well as program, and we're working through all those logistics. So Henry, and to your staff, kudos. Thank you so much. And so that is also a portion of why we're making some shifts to the bell schedule. Transportation, we have to think about the whole system and how it impacts everyone. And this, again, is part of strategic plan priority number 2, educational access. Yes.
So this is kind of tied into a previous question that I've asked, looking at early childhood. And so we did get an answer about the funding and structure and all. And so I just want to make sure that I understood what was being said. So it looks like students who have participated in early childhood are the ones who get first access to the summer program. Is that?
Oh, back of the summer things we were talking
like
about?
the pre-kindergarten, so those who hadn't had, is part of the summer programming
Yes.
list.
Go ahead.
So the summer grant program is very specific to.
Oh, the GEARS. Okay, the GEARS
incoming-
grant. Okay, yes.
Incoming, because it's a transitional program, so that is very specific to incoming students that are going to be in kindergarten. So it's the the bridging, basically it's transitioning between preschool to kindergarten full day. So that grant was specifically written that way to help with that transitioning behavior. What we're talking about here with early childhood expansion is part of the state has two sides to their support. One is a half-day program, which is what we're currently receiving funding for. What we're talking about is diving in even further to do a full-day expansion of the programs, and so that necessitates a number of the changes that we're looking at both IPA and Garden Hills. But there will be criteria for students that the state has already established for those students to come in. So it's, I think all of us would love to see additional childcare options throughout the county and the city for sure. This is very specific with the state board and with the federal government in terms of what they want to see for early childhood programming.
So does that help?
It does. Because when I looked at it, I was like, well, it appears that it says that it targets students who hadn't had access to a pre-K program, but if we weren't doing the outreach to kids and families who aren't part of pre-K, how are we filling those seats if that's a priority?
Gotcha. And so with the GEARS program, we will definitely, those who we know are entering into kindergarten, that's that first grant we were talking about, they will get priority because we know who they are. Then if we have seats of it left over, we can still continue doing outreach. If you got a kiddo that's going into kindergarten or has never had any access to any kind of pre-K, then we can make that happen too. We can have those conversations. So, but as Linda was stating, the whole expanded, the full day, that's a whole different grant. And that's the one where it's definitely, there's guidelines for half-day pre-K, and there's guidelines, even more guidelines for full day. So just because you want to go full day doesn't mean you meet the criteria. And so we have a screening process and all those things that we have to follow in order to make that happen. Okay, you're welcome.
I'm fascinated by how they landed on first grade day. That's what you follow. That's interesting.
That's probably because not everybody has a full day. Everybody doesn't have full day kindergarten. So now this is the year where next year, they're saying that all schools have to have a full day kindergarten. So once that is in place, then it'll probably be, you have to follow the kindergarten day. The K day. So that's that.
So what is the average age of a student that goes to a full day placement of a pre-K?
We generally look at the kiddos who are closest to 5-year-olds. You don't generally put in 3-year-olds in a full day program, and that we're not going that route. So it'd be our 4-year-olds who are going to be ready for kindergarten the next year, are going to be 5, who will be, that's one of the part of the criteria for our expanded pre-K.
Thank you.
Okay. All righty. Let's see, the next thing is elementary schedules. So we are currently reviewing our elementary schedules to incorporate time for the ELA adoption that I am so excited about, and additional time for math, the new Bell schedule, the extended day, which will kick in next year, and the revised contractual language. So we're working on enhancing the integration of art, music, and PE in our new elementary schedules. Elementary principals were given parameters and recommendations and are now working on drafts. Principals have to turn in their first draft review to Dr. Taylor and to Peter Furch by May 31st. So they have their marching orders. They know it needs to happen. And so this is also goes right in line with our strategic plan, our priorities 1 and 2, instructional excellence and educational access. So we have resources, and it's a full expectation that they utilize the resources the way they were designed, and there are expectations for it to happen, and we have to craft our day to make sure that our students are well-rounded, so they're reading, they're doing math, they're getting their art, they're getting their music, getting their PE, and all the other things that we have to do, the unfunded mandates that are out there as well. So we're doing our best. So we're in the middle of working our schedules to make sure we get all these things in.
I should have asked this. If you enter IPA or Garden Hills to those full day classrooms, do you have to attend IPA and Garden Hills?
Okay, so at the registration process, there will be a question that says, If you are placing a full day, are you, especially for IPA, are you intending to stay through IPA and be a part of the dual language program? And those students will get priority, first priority. They will not have to register again to stay at IPA. If they say yes, that's what they want to do, then they automatically matriculate on into kindergarten at IPA from pre-K. Same thing at Garden Hills. So if you say yes, you want to continue on and stay at Garden Hills, then you will not have to register again. You'll just automatically go on into the list and be kindergarten. There's always that option if you don't want to, it is not working for you. We are not going to tell someone you have to go, you have to stay here. They'll just have to go back into the registration, the student assignment process, and do like everyone else.
Okay, and when it comes to IPA, is priority given to our ELL learners, our Spanish families? And then, or is it?
The same as we've been doing right now with
Okay.
our, yes.
Okay.
It's the same process, same
Thank you.
expectation. Mhm. Okay. Sorry. No, those great questions, because I'm sure others will have those questions too. So, okay. All righty. Garden Hills programming, 6-8 programming. So Garden Hills is targeting 6th and 7th graders for next school year, and 8th grade will follow in the SY25. So SY24, which is coming up, they're targeting for 6th and 7th graders next year. And then so Dr. Fuller and district leadership have identified needs such as gym and playground space, furniture, professional development, and much more that I will not bore you with on tonight. Dr. Fuller has done an amazing job of keeping her faculty apprised of existing and new developments on a regular basis with support from the district leadership. And so she's got phenomenal ideas on how to do all these things. And so we've been working with her about how some of it we have to phase in and some of it we can just do right away. She's a go-getter, and I'm really excited about her leading this 6-8 pre-K 8 actually. Dr. Fuller and district leadership will continue to plan and work to ensure we have a strong start in the fall. And again, this goes with our strategic plan priorities 1 and 2, instructional excellence and educational access.
So next year's 6th graders, or presumably this year's 5th graders, but the 7th grader, next year's 7th graders, are you able to speak to, like, are those students in another school right now who it would be good for them to, okay.
Yes, so she is working with the other middle schools to see if there are students and families who want to come back to Garden Hills and for to be 7th graders, because maybe the bigger school was not working for them, or they just want to go back, they loved it or whatever. So we're giving her the opportunity to do such, and then those kids who are in 5th grade right now have the opportunity to stay for 6th grade.
And let's say, 'cause I know we've had some changes with our middle school assignments. If somebody is the middle school their child is slated to go to next year, they're not happy about that, like, or whatnot, like, can those families, is Garden Hills open to families who are not currently at Garden Hills?
Great question. We haven't
It
had
took
that
me a
one
minute
yet.
to
So
get
you know
there,
what?
but-
We'll put that down as something, because if that's the case, I'm
Okay.
sure we can probably have that conversation, because there may be, if there's seats available.
But right now, the focus is on Garden Hills students, current Garden Hills
Yes,
students.
yes,
Okay.
but that is not something we will say, no way. We have to look at it and see how we make that happen.
Focus and then, yeah, okay.
And they can also just call, if there's an issue with that, they can call Mr. Orlando Thomas, and then he can have that conversation, because that's what we're trying to get people funneled to, making sure they call the right person about the question that they can get the answer to. This is him. This is his work. This is his area. School is a student assignment, transfers, no transfer, all that. This is his work. It should always start with Mr. Thomas. Okay? Thank you. Great questions.
One question. Can you remind me? I know there's a collaboration between IPA and Edison in terms of extracurriculars. Garden Hills is with
Franklin. Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, and we're excited about that. And we'll keep doing that until at some point in time these two really grow into their own. Then we'll start looking at reallocating funds, and they can be their own. Or maybe one day those two schools may co-op. We don't know. So we're just thinking right now, IPA and Edison, and Garden Hills and Franklin.
That's one of the reasons why, when the schedule was being planned,
Yes.
we tried to be so thoughtful, because that makes it so much easier to have more possibilities for down the road as programs start to grow. And so that was a key piece of that, because we're trying to think
Far
many-
ahead. That's why it was so important that IPA and Garden Hills were on the same schedule, bell schedule. Anyone else? Okay. Told you it's been a busy, busy day. All righty, we're getting close. Okay, the middle school schedules. So the middle school principals were given some parameters as well to follow from me and from Dr. Taylor, which included trying to align as much as possible so that all of our, like to have an advisory period to enable sharing of staff when applicable, and to have reading and writing back to back when possible. So really trying to make sure that our middle schools look alike as much as possible while honoring their own demographics and their own culture, so to speak, as each of our schools has their own culture, so to speak, but there are certain things instructional-wise and system-wise that we have to make sure are aligned as much as possible. And middle school principals have been working with Dr. Taylor and Mr. Lair, Mike Lair, to develop preliminary drafts on what these schedules will look like. And the principals will also have to share their schedules with their faculty for feedback. So they're making sure they get the voices of their faculty in there. Okay. Okay, the hot topic of the night after the Curry spoke, I don't think I have to say anything else. Like, wow, appreciate that, but yeah, it was beautifully. And I just wanted to say that beginning the 23-24 school year, bands and strings will start in 6th grade, with existing FTA being reallocated to middle schools to support co-teaching and other sectionals, and though supported by research and current Unit 4 educators. There's careful planning began last school year. This is not a program reduction. We are better aligning our resources and increasing FTE overall. We have to think about how do we bring equity to both IPA and Garden Hills, so that we had to think about that. And so this updated instructional delivery model will help us to provide more specialized instruction, build strong habits, and help students progress more quickly, boost retention rates, and strengthen connections with feeder schools. And being a parent of students who were in the band and choir and athletics and all those things is really crucial. One of my kids did band 5th grade before Springfield, before we moved it from out of 5th grade just to straight 6th grade, because for the same reasons we're talking about here. And she did no better than my son, who started in 6th grade. As a matter of fact, he did much better, and he still plays today. And he plays the saxophone, he plays the drums, he plays the keyboard. And so this is really important. I'm a very strong, staunch advocate for our band, strings, fine arts program, because I think it gives some of our kids purpose, and also it does something with their minds. And so I want to make sure that we also do our programs justice. Our teachers work their behinds off to make sure they provide great things for our students, and so to have them running around trying to piecemeal things together was not fair to them, and it's not fair to our kids. And so this also makes it more equitable. And when you can have band every day and not hit and miss, it makes for good practice, because when we say practice makes perfect, it needs to be good practice. So I want to give it to Mike and David, because they led this work with our teachers in the buildings. And did I miss anything? You want to add anything? And I just want to say thank you, because this was very important, and I know you and our band teachers and string teachers did not take this lightly. And so I don't bring things to you all until we know what we really want to make sure happens. So, yep.
Question.
I will just see if they had anything.
Oh, sorry. No, go ahead. You might answer it. You might answer it.
I just wanted to say that this process really did begin a year ago, and actually even before that. As we come together, we want to debrief with our teachers about how our programs are working, address some of the concerns that come forward. And some of the concerns also came forward from our art and music teachers at the elementary level, because a lot of times the rotation with band pulls from the other specials and interrupts their work within that curriculum. And so you're starting an art project one day, going to band the next day. Excuse me. And so that can be another source of frustration. And so really trying to take feedback from our principals, our specials teachers, as well as bringing our band and strings teachers together to address those concerns, do the research, connect with other districts, and then decide what's best for us moving forward, and then ultimately bringing that recommendation forward to the whole team. I'd also want to add that Mr. Reif has done a great job along with our band and strings teachers to really increase our instrument bank so that each and every student who wants to participate in our band strings program is able to, even if they're not able to afford to purchase their own instrument or to rent it at that time. And so we appreciate the board's support of the budget and the finances to be able to continue to invest in those instruments. We also have had some extremely generous community members who have continued to donate instruments. And so if anyone is interested in donating instruments, please reach out to Mr. Reif or to myself, and we'd be happy to support another student with that instrument here in Unit 4.
Yes.
Mr. Reif, anything you'd like to add?
Just that last point, strengthen connections with feeder schools. That's work still to be done. We need to devise what that plan looks like for our middle school instructors to be able to go to their specific feeder schools and really recruit, hopefully the entire year, build connections with fifth grade general music teachers, but especially in the spring, just to be able to get down there and introduce kids to instruments there and start that recruiting process so that they know who's coming to them in the fall, ready to hit the ground running with sixth grade. So that's still work to be done. We're going to keep meeting with our instruments teachers just to make sure that we have the plan ready for that next year.
And I think that's a key piece that we have to make sure we remind people of, that our current model, you don't get a chance to do that because the kiddos are coming from all over the place into the middle school. And I think the Currys talked about this already. You may have 15 flutes and one trombone and, and no sax or whatever. But now you know who's feeding into your school, and you can go there and you start talking to them and get them ready. So they're starting, in the beginning at sixth grade to get it going. So I think that's a very powerful piece to remind you of, and not to just throw this out there, but I'm have to say I absolutely think our programs are absolutely amazing. So any way I can continue to help strengthen them. I mean, sometimes I go to the games just so I can see the band. Like if my husband goes with me to a football game, he goes, "How long are you gonna stay?" I say, "I got to watch the bands." Yeah. So and that's something you don't get to see. Every district does not have that same quality that we have, and so I'm excited about it. So, yep, go band. I'm sorry, you have any questions?
Yes, one concern that I've heard over and over from parents is that, especially with fifth graders, oftentimes they had to choose between recess and band.
Yeah.
And so it was lessening the numbers of potential band students. And so after that, and even with COVID, I'm hoping that our numbers do increase. And so I'm hoping as you're talking through some of those ways to strengthen those connections, that we can think about how to increase more students in 6th, 7th, 8th to get to high school so we can have even more students.
Right, and now with the requirement that started this year of the recess, that we have to have so many minutes for recess, it's kind of like you can't take them out of recess anymore, those kind of things. So there's all kind of parameters and things that we run up against that sometimes help us say, nope, we can't do this anymore, and make us go back to the drawing board and rethink. So that's one of the reasons also we're also looking at elementary schedules. Were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, we get all sorts of requests to add staff all the time, right? And Dr. Boozer normally is very skeptical of lots of things, but seeing the work and seeing the effort that was put in and the research and all of that, she said yes, like almost instantaneously, because we are adding staff as a result of this, right? But she said if it's going to make the program better, like this is something we need to do. And that was one of the first yeses, actually.
Dr. Baker, I'll assure you that we do look at those numbers. I have those enrollment numbers for about the past 7 years. COVID did hit us really hard, but we've recovered. And now we look at, if we're losing kids in the middle of the year, why is that? I think, like you said, a lot of times kids are having to choose. And when they're going so long between instruction, they sometimes disengage, right? And then choose something else. So we're really excited that our program's growing again. Again, we want anyone that wants to be in band and strings to be able to do it. So any support we can have with that, we'll always take. But yeah, it's something we definitely monitor.
The worst class during COVID was online band.
Oh.
I don't know
Tell me
how
about
they
it.
even did it, but I was quite impressed. And I saw that with my own children. They tried to stick through it, and it just didn't work out in a way that I was hoping that they would stick with
Can
it.
we
So-
practice outside? So, because, you know, the COVID germs, I mean, it was just all kinds of stuff going on. But you know what? That just shows our staff, and they persevere, and they can make it work. But they shouldn't have to, but they do.
And I could actually tell when they were in class because I could hear the violin. As a parent, because of the interruptions to the schedule, my kids absolutely lost interest. It's actually harmed our house because of, and I didn't even really think about it, connecting it to there's rarely a full week, so it does affect the rotation. And you answered my question about instruments because it was so expensive to rent the violins just to try that. So parents who need that help, it's available. Renting, if you can't do it. The other thing, it's unfortunate that this got out before you got to tell us because I started hearing from community members before I ever heard from any of you. And so that's unfortunate because we need to hear the explanation and the rationale and the actual report before we even can comment and asking the questions. The other thing that's not being talked about, we have a robust music classes in our elementary schools. Miss Harris is amazing. I still want to walk over to the elementary school and visit with her where our kids are exposed to instruments and music and how that works. I mean, it's not as if a program is going away. We have a robust music program with dedicated educators in our K-5 curriculum. So IPA Garden Hills will have access to band and strings.
Yeah, so IPA will keep their position that they've had, and then Garden Hills, those will be shared with Centennial to make sure those FTs stay full-time.
Yep. And I'm glad you mentioned that about the information being brought out to you all before I got to bring it to you, because what I try to do is empower my folks to work as teams and collaborate and then bring me what they're thinking with the rationale, and then we talk it through. And so I was even waiting to hear from my T&L department and from my music teachers and my band and strings people to hear what their rationale is and what they were thinking. And so then how can we make this better for everyone? So, you know, sometimes you can have those conversations and we can get the work done, but sometimes, you know, and again, we have over 10,000 students and over 2,000 staff members. Everybody's not always going to be happy, but we have to do what's best for the system as a whole. So, okay. All righty, and I think this is the last piece of our working groups that's been in motion and the Columbia updates. So we're scheduled to move out of the Columbia building June 1st, and the construction will begin sometime in June, and it would be in June 2023, and it should end sometime July 2024. And then that's when the programming that's currently in the building will return with expansion of programs in August of 2024. Really excited about the alternative programs. So right now, we have young adult program is in Columbia, and they're going to move to Central High School. And they'll be in place for this year's summer ESY program. Restore Elementary program will move to the Actions on Randolph Street. The Novak Academy is going to have a temporary home pending board approval at Parkland College in the X-Wing building. And that lease will run from June 1st, 2023 through July 31st of 2024. And again, this aligns to our strategic plan, Priority 1, Instructional Excellence. Mr. Thomas, did I miss anything on the Columbia updates? Because this is another, that is your, okay. Got it. Ms. Makowski? Anything?
No, we're moving along, trying to make sure we've thought everything through on the Parkland space. And obviously with young adult and Restore, those are, we didn't say it up there exactly the way we did with Novak, but the expectation is for, you know, as we kind of walk through this, these are not permanent transfer spaces or permanent home spaces, but these are spaces that we're putting a lot of time and energy into making sure that while they're there, they are really good spaces for them. So I appreciate all the folks that are in these different programs. We've met with them. I believe Young Adult is actually holding an open house fairly soon as the space is completely refreshed, so that'll help parents and staff members. We've met several times over there so that we've got their input on how to make that space really work. And so I think from that standpoint, it's there's been quite a lot of outreach on that particular program. Restore was in actions before, so for them it's a little bit of they'll be a little bit tight in there, but they'll be able to make that work with the program that they're doing. And then, honestly, when we get everybody back in Columbia, we've talked about the renovations to this building, but the addition of the elevator, the ADA accessibility, the improvements to the gym space, the improvements to the exterior spaces, the improvements with the HVAC system, it is really going to make that building open to the district for a number of different uses for hopefully another 50 years. And so we have really extended the life and the options for the district to be able to use that space with, obviously being able to take advantage too of a federal grant that we needed to be able to expend the money to be ready in case we ever had to have an additional space available to us. So we've answered the conversations around the grant. Construction is beginning to take shape in terms of what the architects are working on, so that'll be coming back to the board for approval. And again, I think everyone in those programs has done a really good job of trying to think through sort of what this temporary transitioning of spaces is going to look like for them and how to do it, so.
Which also leads us to our conversations with, I don't know what we're going to call it, right now it's ROC, but as we're looking at capital improvements and having conversations with cabinet and different community members about where do we see ourselves going as a district, so what spaces do we have available to us to expand, to become that world-class pre-K-12 education system. And so what does that look like? And so even bringing in architects or whatever to give us an update as to what we could potentially use some of our spaces for, things of that nature. So that's work that Mr. Walker and his team will be helping to lead that. And so it's been really exciting. And back to the Parkland piece. Parkland, I think, is just as equally excited or more excited than we are to have our kiddos on their campus. If nothing else, it gives our students the opportunity to see a college campus and to know that you belong here. And having these same conversations with U of I as well. So it's exciting. It's a great time for us right now. So yeah.
I brought it up before, but the logistics of the young adult program at the same time as our current programming at Central, drop-off, pickup, is going to be an issue.
I already have Mr. Walker and his team working on all those things. Okay. So we've already
Awesome.
talked about that, and so we're working on it. We'll continue thinking about it. So whatever potential barriers that may be there, we can work through them and things of that nature. So we can adjust, and
And the only other question I've heard from parents is when you talk about the young adult program, can they access curriculum back at Central? And I think you're going to have to be really clear on what those guidelines and parameters are. And
those are good questions too. So our SPED director will help guide and work through those pieces. So that's all logistical curriculum areas that we will definitely make sure we take. So if you hear any of those other things, please let me know so I can make sure I pass them on to her and to her team.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Guess what? I'm done. Did I tell you we've been busy?
You've been busy. It wasn't just today.
Busy, busy, busy. They didn't think I was going to do that, but I told them I would. So, and I just want to say thank you to everyone, community, staff, family, everyone, board, my team. Thank you so much for all this hard work. And so this is just the beginning, and we just got to keep things moving. So really excited about it.
So, and future questions from anyone, where should those be directed?
Just depends on what it is.
But to you, correct. So if you have questions regarding this from our community or board, we'll come back to you, because this is a lot to absorb.
Yep.
Or
and we'll
maybe
keep this,
start
of course,
with
this
your-
will be on the website too. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, or maybe start with your building principal.
Yes, that's a really good thing. Because sometimes they have more information, especially around the bell schedule and what it looks like for their particular building. And they're still working through those logistics as well. So, yeah.
So more will be coming.
And we will communicate in multiple ways. You may even get something on Swift K-12. I don't know.
Thank you all for all the hard work you've done. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Boozer.
Brad, I want to say, can I just publicly say thank you to Brad because he's amazing. Transportation this year has been better than it's been in a long time. And I just wanted to, while you're sitting here, give you kudos while you're sitting here. And I just want to say thank you. You are valued, you are seen, and we appreciate you. This has not been easy, but hey, you're doing it. Thank you.
Okay. That will move us right into our second report, which is item B, capital improvements and maintenance repairs planning update. We'll turn this over to Ms. Stegmeyer and Ms. Matkowski.
We are here tonight, similarly to what we did last year, pretty much on the same, I think we were a day off from where we were last year, where we wanted to bring to the board sort of the proposed focus, if you will, for capital improvement plan projects for the 23-24 school year. So this is going to take us pretty much from fall through next summer. Again, depending upon timing of projects and size of projects, as you're going to hear a little bit as we talk about what we've been doing this year. Those timeframes may shift a little bit, but we've really got a focused list of things that we know we want to try to accomplish. So we're going to sort of talk through that tonight. So as always, strategic plan alignment, one of the issues that was brought to the forefront during the strategic plan process itself was that we were needing to really look at how to equitably and efficiently and effectively distribute what I would consider capital resources throughout the district. So beyond budgeting, did we actually think and look through how we are thinking about the planning and the support for buildings and facilities throughout the district? And it's not, these days, especially given Northfield coming online, we actually have quite a few exterior outdoor facilities, so those are also sort of wrapped into capital planning process. And just looking at that throughout the district and what that means, because we have different stages of facilities, we have different stages of fields, and making sure that we're thinking through how those resources are used to support those spaces going forward in the future. So as a reminder for the board, those of you that are on ROC have heard this probably 100 million times. The board's heard it only 100 times. We do actually have a process that we follow. So if the board recalls, over the last probably 2 years, we have been very, very set into making sure that we are consistent with this process for the real reason that it is super easy to get sort of pet projects and pet projects and pet projects, and then all of a sudden there's a whole group of schools that really haven't been looked at. So if you recall, we actually created that long-range capital improvement plan list. So that list really followed a series of priorities, right? Starting with health, life, safety projects, things that we legally had to get accomplished or looked at. So we just did the 10-year life safety survey approval. We'll start working that over the summer. So Henry Walker's area is going to take the lead on that. They're going to work with the architects to really make sure that we've got the life safety report started. For those of you that are on the board that have not been through that process, there's generally a report that's delivered. It's fairly substantive and thick, and it basically goes space by space and talks about what is what is hitting code, what isn't hitting code, what we need to do. We've been very focused on making sure that we address health, life, safety issues so that we do not have many health, life, safety issues. So a lot of the big, expensive health, life, safety projects, we've already been starting to tackle so that we can minimize what we have to spend on those over time and use what resources we do have for other bigger capital projects that may come up. So the long-range capital plan sort of took, it has a sort of hierarchy of things. It involves a whole lot of people, including building administrators, custodial and maintenance staff, IT department, food service department, Elizabeth and her staff, the finance staff, and just cabinet in general. So what are we seeing around the district within the buildings that we really need to think through? We go through that list regularly. And when I mean regularly, it's usually every couple weeks. We've got that list open, checking to make sure that, hey, did this get done? Do we need to add something? Because we see it sometimes. And if you recall, it's that really big sheet that's really sometimes hard to read because it's a lot of stuff going on it. But it is literally every single space within the district, including instructional space and non-instructional space. Over the last couple of years, members of ROC, the board, you have seen the outcomes of a couple of other initiatives that we've started. One is a roof replacement plan. So we have a long-term, consistent roof replacement plan, which basically gave us the who needs to be a priority, right? Because that's always the issue. I can put all 20 buildings on a list, but I got to know which ones really need to be handled and in which order. So we've used outside consultants in contracting, architecture, whatever their areas of expertise are, so that we can really get a sort of priority list established for everything. So we have one for roofs, one for pavements, one for playgrounds. We have asked Josh Monk to begin to develop one for outdoor fields. Now that we have a lot of artificial turf, there is going to have to be a replacement plan for artificial turf because it won't last for 100 years. And we are definitely going to need to have funds set aside to be able to handle the replacement on that. We have had, it's embedded into the long-range facility plan, the HVAC systems. And a lot of that is really heavily informed by our director of maintenance, who's Rich McQueen, and his staff, who have also looked at this with outside firms that have come in to say, you could probably wait here for another couple of years, but on this one, you're probably going to have to move faster. So we have a list, a priority list of where we really think HVAC systems need to start being addressed. And Henry Walker and I have started with furniture needs and assessments throughout the district so that we have some form and fashion and process for being able to identify when do we need to buy furniture, when can we move furniture from one building to the next building, what is the appropriate standard for kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, so that we know what those furniture needs are going to have to be, and then we can schedule out furniture replacement so that these are not coming in big chunks that are unknown. So again, we walk through that. We've talked about this before. We talk about this with the Referendum Oversight Committee at just about every single meeting, and the Finance Committee is normally with the Referendum Oversight Committee because all of these things are tied together from a financial standpoint. What we have done since Dr. Boozer's been here and helped us to provide some instructional insight is layer instructional programming needs into what we're looking at as well with capital. So we have talked about this at ROC. We showed a slide at ROC. I think we showed it to the board. But as a reminder, we are really focused right now on middle school seats and what that needs to look like. And some of these are not going to necessarily be captured in the projects we're talking about, but it helps to inform when we're thinking about project criteria and the order of projects to be able to keep that in mind. So middle school seats, special ed spaces, early childhood spaces, and operational spaces where we are creating efficiencies for operational needs. So as you think through and as you hear through the projects that we're going to propose tonight to focus on, it's also now informed with where the superintendent's instructional direction is beginning to lean to, so that we can make sure that these things are tied together better. Other direction. Okay, do you want to?
So this is the list of projects that are underway for summer 2023. Most of these have, nearly all have been in front of the board before, for whether it was a design contract approval or a construction contract approval. So I'm not going to read them. I just want to focus on some you have not seen before. So on the left side under Centennial, replace the football scoreboard. That was damaged during a major storm event, so we're going to replace that. And I believe the bid has come to the board through Ashley Mahaney for approval. The Caradine Gym West Wall bracing is another storm event issue. We're going to talk about that a little later, so I'm just highlighting that now. Then on the top left, IPA East Drive and stair concrete repairs. That was not on the list a year ago. So I'm also, all these others also were on the list a year ago in April 2022. That one was on the list, but you have seen that when we brought that contract to the board for approve. It was in April of 2022, the IPA project was still in construction, so we did not know the full extent of what might be needed over there. Now we know design is complete and we'll be doing the repairs in June. And it also includes the stair on the east end of the building that's got some concrete spalling. Edison, similar to IPA, we did not know, there was water infiltration, the first two items, west elevation masonry repairs and interior plaster repairs. There was water infiltration on the west side of the existing building. We thought it was a roofing issue, and that was not a roof that was replaced as part of the project. The roofer that we work with now regularly had to help us with inspections and identifying problems, had said, it's really not a roofing issue. I don't see any issues. Recommended we have a mason look at it, had a mason look at it, and they said, oh yes, you have many, many areas where water is just pouring right inside your building here on the west side, up at the top level, just at the very top level. And so we went out to bid. We have scoping documents and a contract signed for Autobahn. They're doing that work starting as soon as school's out at the end of May. As soon as they're done, once they're about 2 weeks into their work, then we have a plaster repair coming behind it to fix the interior work. So we'll stop the water from getting in, and then we'll fix the walls that are damaged on the west side of Edison in the classrooms. It's primarily on second and third floor. And then the last new item on Jefferson, bottom right, dish machine replacement. The dish machine no longer is functional, and so we got a grant to cover the majority of the cost of the dish machine, and so we'll replace that this summer. So the rest of these projects have come to the board in some fashion or another and are underway. Majority of them are happening this summer. Any questions on those before I go to the proposed focus areas?
Not a question, but I have noticed that any days off that students and teachers have off, there are companies that are in the buildings getting work done, and so kudos to whom, I'm guessing it's you, scheduling them to make sure that all of this work continues, because that's not an easy piece, I'm sure, but I like that the work continues to get done.
Great, thank you. So for the next year, after we sort of clear through those projects, these are the areas that we are proposing to focus on for the following school year. And so again, when we were selecting projects, it's the groups that Linda identified that are most familiar with the buildings. It's the operations and maintenance group, Henry and Rich McQueen, and also the staff that work on the buildings every day, IT and food service. And then we're trying to focus them under the areas, the focus areas that Dr. Boozer has set that tie into the instructional plan. So again, I won't run through all of these. A lot of them just roofing, paving, playgrounds are following the priority list. But some that I do want to point out, top left, exterior improvements, old transportation building. This was on the list last year when we came in April 2022. We just did not get it to the front of the list. It is now moving. We have talked to a designer about what will need to be done. We've met on site with Bradley and Henry and Rich and kind of talked about, okay, if we took this building down, what would we do with this space? So we hope as soon as May to bring a design contract to you for your approval. And so that will include, at a minimum, demolishing the building and paving. We would like to include some electric bus charging stations and some diesel blocks also for charging. So we're going to see what we can fit in with the budget dollars we have, but that one is going. On the right-hand side, you'll see when we're going to go through the budget, what these projects are estimated to cost or are contracted to cost, and then when we have estimates, we've included those. The biggest one is the Kenwood HVAC upgrades. So Kenwood, when we talked to, Linda referenced Rich McQueen, the director of maintenance. His team works on all the buildings and all the HVAC systems. This is Rich's, we say, what's your biggest HVAC issue? And you might recall Westview, we are doing some dehumidification controls this summer. This is his next highest priority. And the project is taking the horizontal unit ventilators in all the classrooms at Kenwood and turning them into vertical unit ventilators. And you're basically just starting over. Those horizontal unit ventilators were installed in roughly 1995. They've reached the end of their useful life. They have controls inside of them that open and close dampers for outdoor air, and the dampers are no longer receiving the signal properly from the control system, and they don't fail in the closed position. So the dampers are often staying open, and the heating coil is immediately adjacent to the louvers. And so in the winter conditions, cold air is coming in and we're freezing coils and then we're damaging units. And so it's just like a constant maintenance problem for the O&M group. They have to do this workaround in the winter to try to, she'll show you a picture if we go to the first slide. So top left, that's a picture of the exterior in the courtyard of Kenwood. The pink, that's insulation that's just pushed up against the wall, and that block and board or whatever that is on the left are holding that insulation in place. And so that's what O&M is doing to not have the louvers that are open from pulling in outdoor air and freezing coils, and then we've lost, all of our control. So O&M's been doing this. They're doing the best they can. But this problem, if we proceed with this project, will be solved. And we'll do a number of other things. We'll also add energy recovery, which means, right now what we're doing is when you pull in air, you heat it, you cool it, you expel it. And then when you need more, you pull in all new, heat it, cool it, expel it. Energy recovery allows you to use that air that's already been heated or cooled and continue to use it again in the space, mixing it with fresh air as you need to, but we'll introduce energy recovery, which will ultimately save money in the long term. We're going to do some new controls work so everything is running more efficiently and can be monitored remotely. We're going to upgrade, put some variable flow into the chilled water lines, just a number of things that will sort of improve the system overall. So this one, it's very expensive in the context of the dollars that we're proposing, but is Director of Maintenance's number one selected project. And then down the bottom left, we have what we're calling additional projects in consideration. So these are projects that we would like to better understand the wants and the needs, scope them, determine dollars per square foot so we can better determine, is this a $500,000 project or a $2 million project? Until we really understand the needs, we just don't know. So the Centennial grounds and storage building, which is, if you've been back there, it's on the very back of the football field. We have some staff members who don't have plumbed restrooms, and that's their home base. And so the focus of that project would be offering better grounds facility and offering restrooms for them, and it's immediately adjacent to soccer, so we could also include restrooms and concessions for the soccer fields. The one listed right after that is the Centennial baseball and softball restroom and concessions. Right now, the restrooms, they go into the school building, and there isn't a concessions facility, so just kind of putting together some pricing and see what that would take. So any questions on the proposed focus areas for the upcoming year?
Does it help with the Centennial projects, I'm sure you've already thought about this, if Jefferson is combined with that, and that there might be some funding available there? Does that make sense?
So one of the reasons it's actually something that we are taking a look at is because we did have families and booster support that came forward for the restroom concession piece that said, hey, we'll help fundraise for this. And they actually have, to their credit, have fundraised a significant, closer to $40,000. And so it makes sense to think about that, especially if we're going to be out there with the ground storage building concept. And really, in fairness, that is literally the second home for operations and maintenance. So when we say that they're working without plumbing, you have a number of staff that are out there and they don't have a bathroom in that facility. They literally are running out someplace else. And so when we talk about operational efficiency, we need that space because it's a perfectly located space to be able to handle grounds and storage. But we certainly have to be respectful of the staff that have to be in that all day long. And so the soccer restroom concession fits in that because of its proximity. If we're going to put plumbing in that building, it makes sense for us to also think about this as an opportunity to look at the soccer restroom concession concept. And then, obviously, we've had quite a bit of support from baseball and softball parents, and so it makes sense for us. We need to price and see if it's a price that is doable within any kind of a budget, but to make sure, but we didn't want to lose it, so.
Yeah, and I have to say, when I did my tour a couple months ago of all the facilities, and I went there, it was atrocious. I just have to say it. I couldn't believe it. And then the fact that there was a family living in that little thing, a family of little creatures. And then there's also been times when they go out there, when they first get there, there may be someone who's not supposed to be on our grounds, whatever, looking for a warm place, and they are sometimes in there as well. So when I say, and when they talk about this, this is serious. It's horrible. I couldn't believe it, and so I'm thankful that it made this list because it's something that we really need to think about, and everyone can benefit from it, but no one should be working in those conditions. I'm just going to be honest.
And a couple more. I know we were working on a couple of things for a track meet last week, and IT said there might be some spots they had missed. I don't know if, in the planning of making sure that Wi-Fi was in each space. So just note there that if there are other spaces, I'm sure these are just the two easy ones to just miss or move past. So if that could be a part of the next part, I think that would be helpful. And also, when
Sorry, just to clarify, exterior Wi-Fi. Is that what you're?
Well, we talked about that, yes, but the press boxes didn't get the updates, the other IT updates. Austin knows.
Okay, okay, sounds good.
I think
I follow up
I
with
know the McKinley one has it now.
I think it's maybe an antenna on the press box.
It was something
Okay.
like that. This is above my pay grade, but
Okay,
yes,
okay.
whatever you think, you're probably right. Huh?
Okay. Orlando knows exactly what you're talking
So
about.
some of those expenditures, this is really the list, and you'll see when I get to the next page why these are the big projects. The things that really fit within the ongoing regular budget, when Orlando and I meet to do the athletic department budget, right? Because he has an AD group and he has the security group. So each department will sit with in the buildings as well. So we'll sit with Central, we'll sit with Centennial, and that'll be a part of the budgeting process for the individual buildings because those are a little more manageable. Those costs are a little more manageable than some of the ones you're about to see.
And I think
We'll
that's
bring somebody from the IT department to be sitting on that too, because sometimes folks who don't know this work want this grandiose stuff and they forget to have conversations with the people that this is their wheelhouse. And so we'll have somebody from IT, Rhonda, and somebody from her team will be there as well to have that conversation, so.
I think it just popped up because we were asking about cell boosters. When we update it at the buildings, are we doing it at McKinley? I mean, it's not the first thing that I think of, and so, yes.
We put that on there. We talked about the Cell Booster project and how much it costs. And so some of those areas were like, McKinley, Spalding, and a couple other places were like,
Northfield,
I'm not sure that's a priority right now. So it's kind of like on the back burner. after I talked to IT a little bit, and Rhonda and I had some extensive conversations about whether or not to put it there, and the cost, was it worth what we're going to get out of it?
For sure.
So could we use those dollars in someplace else? So,
It's definitely a reminder for me to
Yeah.
make sure I ask.
Yep.
That was, yeah. In one other thing, when I was in Garden Hills, as you were talking about the dampers, those blinds were, for me at least, inoperable. And I don't know how many buildings that they're in. You cannot pull those things up unless, again, operator error. And so as I don't know if that's been
That's a
put
good
to
point.
your attention, but it
As
was.
part of the furniture, we can look at the blinds. It's
Okay.
on the priority.
We-
We actually do have blinds on the long-range plan.
Thank you. That was good.
Well, at Garden Hills.
I didn't want to break it.
I'm looking over the list, and I'm grateful to see this. I don't see anything about the paving on the, I'm not going to be good at this on the direction side, so I'm going to say the Unit 4 pool entrance parking area. There doesn't seem any paving addressing back there, and I thought that was an area that was higher on the list. Am I wrong? Am I
Centennial, at the pool at Centennial?
At the Unit 4 pool?
Sorry,
Because I will
okay.
absolutely not
I'm
call it the
sorry.
Centennial
I'm
Pool.
just making,
Forgive me to
yes.
say that. That
I
parking lot
gotcha.
is just interesting, and
I am not aware of paving needs behind the Unit 4 pool, so I'll have to look into that.
When we had the paving staff out, one of the consultant that came out to help us with the paving assessment reports, they really, when they're thinking about paving, they're thinking about like Barkstall and Bottenfield and Garden Hills and BTW. Jefferson, there's, all the schools are in various spaces on the list. Because Centennial proper, right, the space around Centennial was relatively new because of the referendum. I'm not sure that they actually specifically looked at that space, but we can definitely have them go back in and take a look at it.
it's a delight. Take a look.
Love it. Okay, so this is this year. So these are projects that the board has approved, or we have funding on a slightly other, like another space, like the dish machine at Jefferson. So these are all projects you've seen, and Elizabeth and I talked about this. We added, even though these projects by themselves, because they're not being done the way the referendum projects were, right? So these are ones, we've identified it, we've brought in consultants to come help us scope this, or architects to scope it. We've added contingency in here in case something happens. So these are the anticipated dollar amounts with contingency that we've put on top of this. If we don't need the contingency money, it just simply rolls back to whatever the source was that it came from. If we do need it, though, we wanted it to be there in case there was in some situation we weren't seeing when we were originally doing the scope and the design work. So all of the costs are there for all of the projects that we have talked about. Heavy reliance on the sales tax money for everything, and we'll get to the next page because we're actually holding that referendum money back for a second with the Kenwood conversation. But essentially, we're balancing these out in the different spaces where we can do it. If we have a project like the dish machine for $10,000, if I don't need to use sales tax funds on that, I can use the grant that we've received from the National School Lunch Program for that. And if I need an extra $10,000, it might be something where we say, hey, we're just going to budget this out of our locally available property tax dollars. So we'll try to preserve as much of the sales tax funding as possible. So we've talked about this a few different times. We knew we had about $6.5 million worth of one-time sales tax money that we were in a position to release. So this is the money that once we came through being able to fund the reserve, we were going to be able to release it. So we've met the debt service reserve, so we are always reserving money back for debt service on that. We still have debt service payments that have to get paid. So first it goes to payments, then it goes to the reserve that we have to have contractually, and then everything else that's left gets to come to the bottom so we can spend it. We have been building over time about $6.5 million. So we have $6.5 million that we have been using over the last couple of years now. And once we expend all of that, we will have generally about $1 million, maybe $1.5 million every year that should come off sales tax, provided everybody keeps spending in Champaign County at the levels that they're spending at. If we get more, we'll have more. If we have less, we should be able to cover debt service, and we might have a little less than $1 million. But right now, we're anticipating that $1 million. So I'd like to conserve as much of the sales tax money as I can as we walk through these processes, because it just helps us with future projects as we get down the road. We have a little bit of referendum money that is still coming back, that is left over because the contingencies have now started, as we finish projects, the owner contingencies have started to flow back in. So we would use that money at schools that were in the referendum. I'm also going to work with bond counsel. There's a form of resolution in order to free the remaining referendum money up so that we can use it for additional projects going forward in the future. We have local property taxes. We have been much more specific and focused about taxes associated with health, life, safety projects. So we have about $800,000 in the fund balance reserve for health, life, safety taxes, and we'll probably be getting close to $600,000 a year going forward. So we can use the health, life, safety money for things that we designate as health, life, safety projects. So we'll feather in health, life, safety money, local property tax money, referendum money, sales tax money, and then whatever we can get grants for. So we are very aggressive about trying to get grants and use those grants both at the state level and at the federal level. So these are the projects that you saw on the other page that now have numbers attached to them. And we're talking close to about $3.5 million worth of projects that we're in process on right now. For 23-24, so this is that new page, we have started to get quotes. We have started to gather information on what we think things are going to start to cost so that we can start walking through the process of how are we going to pay for this and where are we going to pay for this. Now, I preface that by saying we are not suggesting that tonight's list is an approved list. What we are saying is this is where we're going to focus. Each of these projects, like they always do, will come back to the board. Most of these projects are going to be big enough that they are going to require public bidding, so there will always be public bidding attached with this. A lot of these projects are complicated, so they will be multi-stepped, just like we've gone through. For example, Franklin's paving design was only $25,000. That's the consultant to do the paving design work. The actual paving cost itself will come back to the board as a project. And so there'll be an ample opportunity at each step for the board to see where are we at, what have we spent, and can we do this project? So that there's conversation around each of these, and the board will have full optics into what it means when we say yes. Because we are now going to be in a process where we have limited funds. We want to make sure that we're doing as many projects as possible with limited funds, with as many different options available to us as possible. There's a couple of big ones. The biggest one is the Kenwood HVAC. So at the $2.5 million is really the initial ballpark that we got from the HVAC firm that came in and took a look at this. So it still has to get vetted. Generally speaking, there's not going to be a ton of wiggling around on this. It's because it is a very expensive. It's a whole building HVAC redo. So these are not inexpensive things to do. So we do need to get more clarity in terms of the cost. But for the board to sort of be thinking about priorities and where things are coming, that's probably a fair placeholder for everybody to have in front of them. Jefferson's roof is another large one at $1.2 million. We know we need to do Jefferson's roof. That's been planned when we think about budgeting and budgeting over multiple years, because we had the whole roof priority project done last year. So we know which roofs at which point in time and for which costs we think we're going to have to start allocating for. And Jefferson's roof is up on the list. Jefferson moved in front of, for those of us that are in Windsor, we made the decision to move Jefferson up faster than having Windsor done. Because we just had to do Jefferson first. So we did move them up. Technically, Windsor's roof is really bad, and it is definitely in need of repair. And for those of us that have been running around with buckets and plastic bins and all sorts of things in hallways, we are doing a good patch job right now, but at some point, we do have to put that back up on the list so that we can get the Windsor roof taken care of. Other ones that are larger, the Bottenfield paving, it is expensive. If Barksdall has helped us learn anything, it's that costs for paving repairs, especially when we are considering irrigation and drainage, are expensive because there's a lot more to it than just putting out concrete or asphalt. So those are a couple of the bigger projects. Central's roof is expensive, and Elizabeth and I were kind of laughing about this. It feels like we keep talking about Central's roofs. I think, did you figure out how many sections?
Just to clarify, Central has 27 roof sections. And so we last year did one. This year we are doing one. Next year we're doing 13. So, but the cost for the 13 is actually less than the one that we're doing this year, because the one we're doing this year is Combs Gym. The one we did last year is the whole west end of the existing building. So, but the 13, some of them are like an awning roof, or they're very small. So the way we evaluate roofs is they break up each elevation. So every time you have a change in elevation, that's a different roof section. Now, for example, Jefferson only has, I think, 4, 5, 6 roof sections, because it's basically just a single story, very flat, 4 around the back and 2 out the front. So just so when you keep seeing central roof, that's why this one I put on there, multiple roof sections, and you saw it, you approved one for this summer, you approved one for last summer. Half the roof sections are new through the project, so we don't have to touch those. But just Centennial, for example, has 19. So when we say roof sections, the number of them matters, the size of them matters. So we have not re-roofed Central 3 times. Just
included are the costs for the demolition for the old transportation buildings. So this is not the new one; it's the one that's across the street. That will really significantly improve traffic flow on that space. Although it was on the list last year, we knew we had to do it. This has actually been a conversation point probably for a very long time for the district to try to demolish that old building and be able to really enhance the parking opportunities and the turnaround over there. An example of being able to sort of braid in and blend some of the local dollars that we have available, the electronic marquees. We have 9 elementaries that do not have electronic marquees now. So we have budgeted within the district's sort of regular operating budget for 3 elementaries a year to be able to get that, so that in 3 years, all of our elementaries will now have electronic marquees, and we'll be able to do that. If we get additional grants, if we have some additional funding, we can expedite that. Some of this work is largely dependent on being able to get people to do the work, right? So to some extent, this is why this list will be a little more fluid, just simply because of the sheer amount of people that we're going to have under contract or internally to be able to help us get it done. There's 3 projects at the bottom we definitely do want to talk about. We do not have, as we talked about before, we do not have scope, so we don't have estimated costs. There is one that we do need to talk about because we are getting a little more specificity around the cost, which is the Caradine Gym wall. So do you want to talk more about what you've sort of walked through at this point?
So we have identified that the west wall of the Caradine Gym appears to be moving. We've had a structural engineer take a look at it. This is not an imminent concern, but it is likely that we're going to need to arrest the movement of the wall. The structural engineer has outlined some recommendations. One would be completely rebuilding the wall, which would be likely not the path we're going to follow just to the impact on school and more expensive. The other is to brace the wall and pull it back within tolerances. So we're looking at options. We're reaching out to a mason through the structural engineer to kind of talk to us about what's the most cost-effective way to do this. Once we, have a solid recommendation on what we should do, then we can figure out what is the impact of that on the operations, which will help us decide when we can do it. And of course, we're going to have to publicly bid it just due to the dollar value. So that is not folded into this because, we just don't have any good estimates to share at this point. We're just sort of, determining what is the problem, how do we fix the problem, and then what's the cost, and then the timing. But that'll be coming to you in the coming months once we figure out what we're doing. And then the other one that's on there, the last one, playground upgrades at Garden Hill. The only reason we can't price that one is because we're unsure about the drainage impact. So if it was just a playground, Josh has a very solid feel for what Josh Monk and head of grounds of what playgrounds cost for equipment and surfacing. But if we're going to do drainage improvement work, then we really need to get a civil engineer to look at what is going on, what would we have to do to move water away, and what would be the cost of that. So we didn't want to put a dollar out there and be wildly off, not really having a handle on what is needed. So that's why that one is down at the bottom. It's kind of unclear right now. Any questions on this proposed list?
Where are you thinking about putting the playground for Garden Hills? Is there a spot already that you've?
I think he's talking about the west playground. It's just improving the playground that is already there and offering an accessible area because now it's not, there isn't an accessible area.
And the difficulty, and not difficulty, but the piece to consider at Garden Hills is really the proximity of the Park District property line to our property line, which is, they're basically on top of the edge of our building. So it's not like if we start moving water, we also impact a situation for them that is also problematic, right? They already are dealing with drainage issues on their space. So we want to be thoughtful about how we do that, which is why this one's going to happen, but it has to be done in coordination with a couple of other steps to make sure that we do it right. So,
Linda, that was my question. I'm assuming the staff is working, because that is actually drainage. It's not a park. It was meant to be drainage.
Detention basin?
Right, it is detention. So is there a way to coordinate that with the Park District?
and we had talked as well with the city, because the city has a role in this, because it's actually it's sewer water system, right? So it's the city, it's the sewer street sand, it's the sanitary district folks, it's us, it's everybody. So to fix it and fix it correctly, especially in light of what the city's trying to accomplish with water, sewer, drainage activity in Garden Hills, we need to do that all together at the same time. And the city's aware. We've talked with them about this. I've had a couple conversations with folks at the city over many meetings where we have said, look, we have to find a permanent solution, but it's got to be everybody at the table, because that's the only way we're going to get this done. But it doesn't negate that Garden Hills Playground is up for conversation, and we're going to, this is part of the process of trying to walk through. Their playground is definitely a priority. So these projects at this point total the $6 million. This does not include the outbuildings, the gym, and the playground space, which is why when we started this conversation, I said these are focused areas for us right now. Each of these are going to come back because each of these will definitely have impacts on other things, and we want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable with the decisions that are made, because we know that these things are going to happen, and we want to leave a little bit of capacity within the financials of the district to be able to handle emergencies, because with 20 buildings, we are always going to have an emergency. There's always going to be something. So we need just a little bit of capacity within our own internal budgeting structures to be able to handle anything that would be unforeseen. So here is a slightly different view of how these projects have lined up in terms of the funding source commitments and how we have started obligating dollars by the school year. So the 23-24 school year number is really informed by the $2.5 million that is sitting in Kenwood right now. So once that number is known and we sort of normalize the rest of it, you can see we're close to 3 to 4 million a year, which is not untypical, and it's actually fairly standard for a district this size to really be able to allocate out that kind of money, and we want to be able to continue to keep allocating that money. We are maximizing the federal grants as much as possible, and in large part, Columbia is almost exclusively being done with those ARP funds, and so that's been very helpful because that'll give us a jump start on a building that could have potentially been very expensive. And it also gives us the space and the capacity to work with referendum oversight, other committees that need to start participating in what do we do about middle school seats, what do we do about special ed spaces, and what do we do about early childhood spaces. And those are going to be bigger conversations than just the long-range plan we do each year. Once we start using the leftover referendum money, we will be done with it. So we will be out of excess referendums. So when we get into those bigger conversations, how we piece those together in terms of the financial support for those is going to be, those are going to be separate and independent conversations. And again, the sales tax has been, really, really a very nice, consistent revenue source for the district, and we are using it exactly the way it was, discussed back in 2008 when it was finally passed, that whole process, and I am super thankful for everybody that did that, because it has really helped the district as we think about trying to maintain our facilities. And that is it for tonight. So next steps, again, as we have indicated before, we were going to bring these back project by project for the board to take a look at with this is where we're at in terms of our projects and spending, and this is what happens if we say yes or no, so that the board has the information when they make the decision. And then obviously, we continue to maintain that long-range capital improvement spreadsheet. That is really our guiding document in terms of keeping track of what needs to happen. We have a lot of people who participate in keeping up to date with that document. The superintendent and I talk about it pretty much once a month, at least at a minimum, if not twice a month. And so there's a lot of people with eyes on that document, which is helpful. Principals, again, we continue to meet with principals so that we can get their information and share with them what happened previously, right? So having that document allows a new principal to be able to look at what was previously sort of an issue or something that they had identified and say, I have a different way I want to handle that. Instead, I want to think about maybe this different way. So it's been a real great document for us to have. So, questions?
Thank you. Any more questions? Rich McQueen is
Rock star.
pretty awesome and a rock star.
Yes.
I hope he sleeps.
And yes, no, he doesn't.
I'm sure he doesn't. Thank you so much for providing that report.
Thank you.
That'll move us to action agenda item 7C, which is DSB compensation. I'll turn this over to you, Dr. Boozer.
So for the DSP, tonight, I just want to say that in accordance with our board policy, I'm recommending the 4.5% salary increase for 2023-2024 school year for all of our eligible DSP staff members who return to the district in the same position they held this year. This would be effective July 1, 2023. Also, DSP staff members who enter the district during the spring of 2023 semester and do not qualify for raises per board policy will have their salaries adjusted in accordance with the district practice to align with the updated 2023-2024 DSP salary grid. So I'm recommending that the board approve the recommended changes for eligible DSP staff members.
Thank you, Dr. Boozer. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Soteropoulos Vasquez, questions? Comments? Tammy, would you call roll?
Ms. Soteropoulos?
Yes.
Ms. Vasquez?
Yes.
Ms. Armstrong?
Yes.
Dr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Shannon?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0. That will move us to agenda item D, which is administrator and administrative assistant compensation. I'll turn this back to you, Dr. Boozer.
Thank you. Also, this is for recommendation for administrators and administrative assistant compensation, excluding myself. In accordance with the board policy, I'm recommending a 4.5% salary increase for the 2023-2024 school year for all eligible administrators who return to the district in the same position they held this year. I'm also recommending a percentage equal to the percentage of off-schedule teachers will receive for the upcoming year. It's my belief that having a strong compensation package allows for us to attract and retain building and district leaders committed to our students and to our families. I'm also recommending that any individual who served in district in Unit 4 in a K-5 or a K-8 administrative role in 2022-2023 and returns to the district in a K-5 or K-8 administrative capacity for 23-24 receive an additional increase of $2,500. Even employees who switch positions for example, if you were in 2023 an assistant principal and become a principal in 2024, you will be eligible for that enhancement. I know that there is a 6% limitation noted in the board-approved administrative salaries and fringe benefit package. It will be followed when adding this enhancement. And this enhancement mirrors the enhancement returning elementary teachers will receive in 2023-2024 as a result of the extended elementary student day. And so these changes would be effective July 1, 2023. And I want to say administrators who entered the district during the spring of 2023 semester and do not qualify for raises per board policy will have their salaries adjusted in accordance with district practice to align with the updated 2023-2024 administrative salary grid. So that is my recommendation.
Thank you, Dr. Boozer. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Soteropoulos Shannon. Questions? Tammy, would you please call roll?
Ms. Soteropoulos?
Yes.
Ms. Shannon?
Yes.
Ms. Armstrong?
Yes.
Dr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Vasquez?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0. That will move us to item E, which is the Avid Summer Institute Professional Development. I will turn this over to you, Dr. Ward.
Okay, good evening. I'm the last thing before the consent agenda. And we're right back to where we started. So I won't be long, but I think this is important. Instructional excellence, as you can see, everything is aligning to our strategic priorities. We talked about facilities and buildings and a lot of other things we know we have to have upkeep on, and we do know we have to also pour back into our staff. So I'm excited to talk to you a little bit about the Avid Summer Institute. Just a little bit about Avid. Avid stands for Advancement via Individual Determination. It is a system of support designed to prepare students in the academic middle for college and career readiness by placing them in advanced core classes and an elective class with academic and social support. It requires the establishment of a team and lead elective teachers who are responsible for overseeing the growth of students and the fidelity of implementation throughout the school system. An advocate by your side. These individuals receive a comprehensive professional development that includes Avid teaching methodologies, which is culturally relevant, and curriculum that is ultimately disseminated to all teachers throughout the system. Avid currently serves nearly 300,000 students in over 4,000 elementary and secondary schools in 45 U.S. states in the District of Columbia and across 15 countries. There are only 4 national demonstration schools in the state of Illinois, and I have to keep shouting out our 3 schools. 3 of those 4 schools are nested in Champaign Unit 4. And Avid Professional Development is required to ensure that culture, instruction, leadership, and systems remain strong in those schools. It's a mandate. This research-based professional development makes Avid unique, resulting in core individuals becoming vested stakeholders and family members. Avid's SI expands teaching strategies and methodologies to all classrooms in the school because we know that each student has a different path. Thereby, AVID can create school-wide reform. Teachers are able to fully implement various educational strategies and methodologies that promote student learning while building relational capacity. You'll hear that word a lot. We've talked a lot about this as professionals, and we know that relationships are cornerstone for good and high-performing schools. Teacher leadership increases as a result in efficacy. Like we said before, every profession goes back to learn. Just like our doctors, we want our teachers to go back and know the best methodologies and practices. AVID also requires that 40% of all demo school teachers remain current in critical areas of instruction, and they monitor that heavily. School-wide implementation of best practices are transferable throughout the district. We are looking to transfer a lot of practices across our district, as you've heard in the school spotlights. AVID strengthens and promotes dialogue with community leaders and parents regarding the educational experience of our students. And AVID PD will support Unit4's new instructional framework, which I think Dave, Janelle, and Mike talks a lot about. So we will all have some common language and a framework from which we instruct our students. This year, we have a large number of AVID attendees due to the implementation of this new framework that we expect to see implemented, because priority one is instructional excellence. AVID expansion at the elementary level and the addition of those teachers that need to meet that 40% threshold require PDs for next year to be a little more heightened, and it is a part of the revalidation process. Registration fees are $91,200, hotel accommodations $43,690, and flights are in the process of being booked. Henry talked a lot about funneling all of our communication through transportation. We've already been able to save $3,000 by getting a charter for those who have to fly out of Chicago, because those flights are cheaper, and we get to ride together. So we're finding ways to make sure that it's manageable, but by all means, instructional excellence and our teacher efficacy is important if we're going to change things. Our funding sources are Title II, which is the professional development grant that we received to do just that, and our building PD allocations, which is really light in the building PD area. We have a lot coming from Title II. And then we have equity funds to match any existing funds that we can't cover through our grant. Most of them are being covered through our grant. Teachers and principals will not just be expected to go to SI. We're asking them to come back and to share their knowledge and to continue to spread throughout our system. I'll give you an example. Allison Carter and Kristen Macklin this year ran professional development during our all-staff PD. They become trainers, and we have offer this opportunity to more staff members to become trainers that will help to build other teachers, so teachers form back into other teachers. So the goal is for us to continue to change the narrative of what it means to be a teacher and what it means to be excellent, and to really close that expectation and opportunity gap for our students. With that being said, because I'm in the way of the consent agenda, it is the administration's recommendation that the Board of Education approve the submitted proposal for AVID Summer Institute.
Thank you, Dr. Ward. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Soteropoulos Shannon, any questions? Ms.
Actually-
Vasquez? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'll come back, I promise.
Dr. Ward, thank you so much. Can you tell us where it is and how many days it is? I don't see that anywhere.
Oh, it's in San Antonio. It's for 3 days. They do take attendance, and we get electronic badges that indicate that we've had that commitment.
I'm not there for that. That's not my lane at all. I just couldn't figure out where
Yeah.
it was, how many days, and then how many teachers and admins will attend?
We have 92 staff members that will attend, and principals are going with their building teams, and they bring a site plan back that's meshed to the school improvement plan.
So 92 members of the staff, 3 days, San Antonio. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. I was wondering the same thing. And this kind of mirrors, because there was a group of teachers that went last year that I couldn't believe the feedback, how excited they were and how much they loved it. Same type of conference?
Same type of conference, and you get those elementary teachers with some of the high school people, and they're having the same common vision. You'll be amazed how much we're in the same district, but sometimes we that intentional connection. Same thing with the all-staff convocation. we're just finding spaces, to really have iron sharpen iron, so to speak. So it's exciting.
Thank you. Any other questions?
And I just wanted to add, I think the coolest thing about Avid Summer Institute is the fact that, like, if you went last year and go again this year, you don't take the same thing. You build upon your knowledge. So they meet you where you are and they build your knowledge. And so you get to work with people from all over the country who are doing the same work in job-alike roles. And so it's powerful learning.
Okay, great.
And we do keep a database to make sure that we direct staff and to continue to challenge themselves.
Thank you. Tammy, would you call roll?
Ms. Soteropoulos?
Yes.
Ms. Shannon?
Yes.
Ms. Armstrong?
Yes.
Dr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Vasquez?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0. I'll be excited to see what they bring back. That will move us to item 8, which is our consent agenda. May I have a motion?
So moved?
Second.
Soteropoulos Shannon. I will read through these. There's the approval to award the bid for custodial supplies for 2023-2024. Item C is the approval to award bid and paper supplies for 2023-2024. D is the utility contract proposals for gas and electric providers. E is the approval for the proposals of the humidification of Central High School music rooms. F is the educational technology annual subscription renewals. G is the approval of lease agreement between Champaign Unit 4 District and Parkland Community College. H is the approval of the AP World History Curriculum adoption for 2023-2024. I is the approval of the K-5 ELA curriculum resources, digital licenses, and professional development. Is that it? I know, it is printed weird. H-I. There we go. J is human resources changes, and that is the end. Any questions, comments? Dr. Baker?
I do have a comment. I know that a teacher did reach out to us about the ELA adoption, and I'm wondering, they were talking about a Columbus unit and how they had some supplemental materials that actually, I think, better describe the events. And so if there are teachers that do have things like that, supplemental materials, who should they reach out to?
If they have those questions, and we had a couple of those, so our teaching and learning department is all on this, so they need to send an email to our teaching and learning department, to Mr. Mike Lair and to Ms. Jonelle Baskett. That is where those questions go. And then what happens is if we find something, then we can notify the writers of the curriculum and say, hey, this is incorrect. But the other piece is then we can also continue, which they've already been working on, supplementing some of those units. And then we also want to remind people that what we are doing in Unit 4 is teaching both sides of a topic. So we're not just going to be one way and not speak it to the other. And the one I will say that came up, I will speak to, not only talked about Christopher Columbus, but also talked about his fallacies and things that he didn't do right. And then also talked on the other piece of the information. But we also have access to other curriculum to offset anything. So we want people to utilize the folks who do this work. Send the information and the questions to Mike Lair in Teaching and Learning and Jonelle Baskett in Teaching and Learning. Thank you for that question.
Thank you, Dr. Boozer. Dr. Baker? Anyone else? Tammy, would you call roll?
Ms. Soteropoulos?
Yes.
Ms. Shannon?
Yes.
Ms. Armstrong?
Yes.
Dr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Vasquez?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0. That'll move us to agenda item 9, which is public comment. Don't have anyone new. That will move us to agenda item 10, board member communications. Anyone this evening? Dr. Baker?
A couple of just highlights. Our Centennial students that actually repainted the trail, the boarding trail at Garden Hills. I think that was excellent. I know that there were many other things that they did, but that is something that absolutely needed to be done. So super excited about that. And I did not get a chance to attend Grease, but I heard wonderful things about that particular production. I want to give a shout out to the Central students who, the National Honor Society, who did the thrift store. What a great idea. And they had signs everywhere. You couldn't miss it. I also want to give a shout out to Actions. They partnered up with the Windsor of Savoy, which I think is a great idea. I want to go the next time I go. And just, I said, I don't know who had more fun, the residents of the Windsor or the kids. So I love when we can create those partnerships. Shout out to Reverend Comer, who's working with our Operation Hope Junior students, I believe. They're golfing. I saw them outside of Edison. I'm like, there's hardly any green space, but he figured it out. And shout out to Centennial. I think the archery team talked about having the golf instructor maybe team up with Jefferson and thinking about some partnerships there. So the more those things happen, just organically, I am a big fan of. Just want to also say thank you to Parkland. I know they had a bunch of 8th graders out for their Trade Up program, and that was amazing, amazing. Kids had no idea some of the things that are out there. Even we don't know all the things that are out there. So if we can continue that, I would love to see more of that. And also, I can't find the name of the Edison play, but Edison did have a play as well. It was not Ickle Pickle Tickle this time, but it was something. And so congrats to those students as well. And then I just have just another thing that I want to read out loud. So these 7 years have been on the board, and they have definitely tested all of us. You know, if we are ready to make big decisions that will certainly affect future generations, if we can handle all the criticism that goes along with making those big decisions, can we even garner feedback from all sections of our community? Can we leave Unit 4 better than we found it? No doubt these past couple of years have been really, really hard for adults and kids alike. I have 2 years left on this board, and only 2 years, as I agree with my good friend who said, quote, I need to take a break. And after seeing what happens to elected officials who don't take a break when they feel it, I told myself to step back and let someone else have a turn, end quote. It's totally someone else's turn. I hope there's someone out there thinking about if they should step up. And if it's you, you have at least a year to prepare. I'm not speaking for the other two, but there's 3 spots potentially up. And I'm ready to tag the next person in. People ask all the time why would we subject ourselves to volunteer to do this thankless work? But I contend still that it doesn't have to be. There are many good reminders as to why we do this work, why we have stepped up to serve our communities, and the month of May is that for many of us. Instead of it being thankless, I hope we can reframe and make it thankful work. Maybe a simple thank you for us standing in the gap, or acknowledging that when we attend an event, an activity, even a committee meeting outside of our regular and special board meetings, that it's time that we could have spent elsewhere, but we cared enough to show up. A hug or a smile is sometimes more than enough. When I had a brief run for Senate, this long, in which many of us were working to honor the legacy of the late Senator Scott Bennett, a friend, I received so many nice notes thanking me for the work I've done as part of the board. It in fact touched me that people in our community went out of their way to acknowledge my service and continual work and stepping up. And so for a third time, I find myself here, stepping up to see the appetite of the board. Are we, Champaign, ready for me, Black female, to be the school board president? In a recent webinar held by Run for Something, I heard someone mention that elections are a good reflection point, or inflection point in many ways, to see what our community is ready for. The past 2 times this process has been behind the scenes. Individual calls were made to secure votes beforehand. The outcome had already been decided before we even got to the meeting. It usually isn't until after the vote that I have an opportunity to say why I'm willing to step up and serve as president publicly. And for this reason, I'm starting it here tonight. What makes me ready? I hope that I've displayed my commitment to educational, societal, and environmental justice. Besides the countless board and committee meetings attended, the number of emails read, the calls responded to of community members, schools visited, district activities attended, I was involved in developing a strategic plan. We updated our mission since the 1980s. I spent the past few years looking through every single policy, with an equity lens. You can ask Dan the amount of questions that I asked. I really worked hard to rebuild relationships with our teachers, staff, and administrators, especially after a tough negotiation process, and hopefully in empowering our principals and teachers. I continued to push for our board process agreements to get completed so we had something to go back to. I continue to ask more questions to our superintendent, especially when I'm hearing from our constituents. Participated in two superintendent searches where we facilitated feedback received from the community to see the beautiful woman before you. I worked with the board to develop an evaluation tool for our superintendent. I had never, ever done that before. That was a process. I worked on a resolution acknowledging racism as a public health crisis with my co-conspirator. I demanded more from our Illinois Association of School Boards, speaking up at IASB delegate assemblies, and Heather, they changed division meetings. We're still working on term limits, though. I continued professional development to be a better and more effective board member. I believe I was the first of this board to reach the distinguished leader status, where school board members are recognized for their individual time and effort devoted to learning and leadership activities through IASB, although, that's another day. I really have tried to pass evidence-based research to our district staff and alert them to events that are happening at the university, particularly the College of Education. And I became a substitute teacher for the district when needed. And no, I didn't get paid. It's all volunteer hours. We went through all of that hoops, but I stepped up, all while not being president. I asked tough questions. I worked to hold our district accountable, and I encourage evidence-informed decisions. I stand for public education, yet demand more from it. As a mom to 3 boys in 3 different levels of Unit 4, elementary, middle, and high school, I'm going through the growing pains that our community, too, is experiencing. While I might have some advance warning, I still had to trek to Columbia with my 6th grader, while still getting one off to Cary Busey and Edison, and Central. I had to help the middle schooler figure out the after-school bus schedule. And now working to adjust the kiddo to the world of Franklin Knights, all while also helping our community understand some of our district's decisions. To my current and future board members, as board president, I promise to be in regular communication with you, alert you to meetings I've taken as part of my role as president, and hear you even when we disagree. I promise to allow the elected vice president into the work. I promise to continue offering reflective feedback to our superintendent during her annual evaluations so that not only she can grow, but that we can grow as a district. I promise to be board president, not superintendent, not mayor, not any of the other roles, right? Parliamentarian, board secretary, and allow the board to be a voice of 7. And above all, I promise to continue to hold all parties accountable and ensuring that it really is a great day in Unit 4, including board members and their responsibilities. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Dr. Baker. Anyone else?
So I wasn't sure if I was going to say anything, but actually, you mentioned about, Dr. Baker, you mentioned to Heather about there being term limits in IASB. And so I attended an IASB division exec board meeting as I'm closing out my time as a resolutions chair for our division. And we are pending, it's going to be an agenda item for our next division meeting to form a committee to explore term limits. So this is something that the exec board, like it was a unanimous thing, we all wanted it, but we wanted to make it as a committee so we can get a lot of feedback from other people within our division. And it's a brilliant idea because, term limits are really important. Like once you've been in a role for so long, it is time. The right thing is to take a step back and say, I've given what I can, now it's time for me to find another way to support. And when other people step back, it leaves space for other voices to be heard. So your work has... Did it die? No, not at all, not at all. It just takes a really long time. So thank you for all of your work.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Ms. Shannon?
So as most of you know, I have submitted my resignation as of Friday, because I cannot be both city council member and school board member, even for an overlap of 5 or 6 days. So this is my last board meeting. And I just want to say that it has been the honor of a lifetime serving with all of you people. And I'm proud of all the work that we've done. And I'm going to miss you all so much. So just thank you for letting me be your board member. Thanks so much, everybody.
You don't get off that easy, my friend. I knew this was going to be it for you. And so it's a struggle for me because as my first role as superintendent, you've been on part of that committee that took a chance on me. And so I just want to present this to you in recognition of your service to Champaign's Community Unit 4 School District as a member, vice president, and secretary of the Board of Education for your services from May 2015 to April 2023. So thank you for all you've done. You're going to be an amazing city council person. So congratulations. And she told me not to get her a plaque, but I don't listen. I don't follow directions very well when I want to show appreciation because it's nice to be nice. And as Dr. Baker stated in her statements, this is a thankless job, I think, but I thank you. And I know all of my colleagues here thank you as well. We really appreciate you and you're going to be missed. You're so welcome. And you can even have the box that I came
And a marathon meeting to close you out. Thank you, everyone. That will move us to item 11, which is our report. Whom do we affect? Whom do we tell? Well,
We hired someone, despite all of us losing our Harvest Market meal plans, which is heartbreaking.
I know, I was wondering if people figured that
This is
out.
a heartbreaking part of my week. This is the best hire. I am so excited for our students and our teachers, and that is a great hire. I'm so excited about Mr. Pui.
Yes. And she's excited to join us.
We did not like getting that email about meal kits. Like, that was the worst email. But
Oh, how lucky are our kids?
So maybe we can create our own, like right here or something.
yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Boozer, for your working groups update. That was phenomenal to receive and to hear. I'm sure we'll have more questions as we move along through the process with you, but that was an incredible update for us. The capital improvements, maintenance, that is such a critical list that we're keeping on top of. It's taking care of taxpayer assets. Yeah, lots of hires, raises, taking care of our employees, our administrators, and our administrative assistants. Thank you, Ms. Tammy, for everything you do. Our IT guys are in the back. They're still here with us. Thank you all. Shout out to the hidden room. And Dr. Ward, you're taking the team. Let's giddy up. Avid's going to grow. It's going to be awesome.
We've also stepped into the 21st century with our own app.
I did like that app. What am I missing? Anything? Transportation is a big piece. I'm excited.
A lot of stuff done. Now we can see it.
Now you can start to see the equity in action. I like that you keep saying equity in action. It's not a buzzword. And it's hard. Growing pains are hard. And
What a great moment to hear from teachers at this district to help us explain our decisions and how they're being made. Like the way tonight unfolded felt really.
Thank you for
I'm
doing
glad
this.
you two are here.
And I have to say, this was not orchestrated. I had no idea.
Orchestrated.
Oh, boom, boom. Pun intended. But yeah, pun intended. No, but seriously, I had no idea. Boom. And yeah, I'm telling you, it's been a week, but it's only Monday. But it was not orchestrated. So for them to come up and step up and say that, and it was very much appreciated. Because sometimes I think people just need to hear from those who are boots on the ground doing the work. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And I think it's easy, the community needs to understand these decisions are made by educators and people that are doing the work. It's not board decisions, so thank you for that. Item 12 is our future meetings. There is a Finance Committee meeting on April 26th, right here in the Mellon Building, 5:30. A regular board meeting May 8th, a special board meeting May 12th. That's where we will seat the new board. Regular board meeting May 22nd, another Finance Committee meeting May 24th here at 5:30, a regular board meeting June 12th, and another Finance Committee meeting June 28th. That will move, we do not have to go back to exec session. That will move us to 15, which is adjournment. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Shannon Soteropoulos, all in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Meeting adjourned at 9:20.